Good evening. It's Monday, I wish it was May. March 26th. It's 5:13 p.m. Getting ready to start the Board of Assessment Appeals meeting in order to hear and deliberate, decide on appeals properly brought before the board. Kathy, please take attendance.
Okay, good evening. Paulette Kuzo. Helene Daly.
Here.
Carol Langland.
Here.
Kathleen Griffin. Peter Rupert. Peter is not present.
Peter's not coming tonight.
Okay. Katie Gusson.
Here.
Judy Zablack.
Here.
Now, did Kathleen say she was here? Because I didn't hear her. I couldn't hear her.
Yeah, I didn't hear her either, but she said she was here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now.
Sorry, I was. Yeah, I'm good.
Okay. All right. I have a handwritten schedule, but Kathleen sent me one as well, and I've sent it to everybody. So why don't we start with Helene, appeals number 103, 4, and 5. They're all together.
All right, let me put this sound up. Yeah, this is such an interesting situation, and I'll preface it by saying that when the appellant talked to Ross, he kind of chuckled and said, yeah, you have a good case, so definitely appeal it and you'll win. So saying. So he bought, let me get my notes here. Oh, you know what? Let me just go to this file because I think you should see the map on a second. I want you to look at the map so you know what we're talking about here.
Okay.
Let's see, 103, I'll tell you what page it's on.
Okay.
Appeal 103.
This is 103, 104, and 105. So the property was bought, it's 3 lots, but it's all on one deed. And looking for the map, I don't think it's in 103. I think it might be in 104. Oh, no, it is. So on page 13 of 103.
There it is.
Turn it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if you look to the right, you'll see that it says Pequot Avenue, and then Banks Place comes in. And so we have 93 is on the left-hand side when you're coming in the street. And that's right behind a property that is on Pequot Avenue. That's 93 Banks. Then across the street is 98 Banks, and this is where the house sits. And then adjacent to that is 900 Pequot Avenue. All right, so he bought this property in August of 2021 for $3,900,000. He said, this was definitely a COVID buy, and he and his wife just wanted to get out of the city. And his own realtor said to him, "Don't buy this property. You're crazy if you buy it." But he said, "You know what? We needed to find a place, and we liked the fact that it had farm status, and we could develop it as a farm and grow apple trees, and they want to use it as an orchard eventually." But the key point here is that when they closed on this, it lost its farm status. He said, "Look, I bought it in August. We didn't have time. Obviously, that takes time to set all that up, so we weren't ready to go." And so he said, "So that's totally legit. I get that." But what happened was when it lost its farm status, the listing in acres became listing in square feet. So it changed from acreage to square footage of the land. So, and his appraisal, his assessment went up ridiculous amounts. So we'll just start with 103 is 98 Banks Place. So appeal number 103 is 98 Banks Place. And also for all 3 of these properties, there was an assessment and appraisal for all of them in 2020. And then after he bought it, all of that changed. So in 2021, his fair market value and assessments all went up. And that's what he's, so he said, look, when I bought this property, I knew what my taxes were going to be. And then all of a sudden, you know, I closed and now the town is telling me I'm going to be paying 60% more in taxes. So he is, and with 98 Banks Place, he was appraised at 1,886,300. And then that increased in 2021 to 2,221,800. Now this is where the house is. Okay, that's 2 acres. Next we have, can I just do all these at the same time?
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. So next is Appeal 104, and that's 900 Pequot Avenue. That's the landlocked, non-buildable lot. So these 2 other lots that do not have the houses on them, 900 Pequot is the one that's adjacent to his property with the house on it. It's bordered by the railroad tracks in the back, as well as his house, his lot with the house on it, bordered by the railroad tracks and 95 in the back. And then it's also unbuildable because there's no access to it. You can't get to it. It's just landlocked. That
Should we be making a motion? Wayne, I'm sorry. Should we be making a motion to approve it?
I'm sorry, I did not do that. Thank you for reminding me. I make a
I'm
motion.
sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. I make a motion to hear and appeal appeals number 103, 104, and 105. And okay, so and the addresses are 98 Banks Place for 103, 104 is 900 Pequot Avenue, 105 is 93 Banks Place. All right, so the landlocked non-buildable lot at 900 Pequot is 2.54 acres. And then for 105, that's 93 Banks Place. And this is the lot that is across the street from where his house is located. And that's a 0.90 acre. And that's almost entirely wetlands. If you look at that map, you can see it's almost all wetlands. Now that had an appraised value in 2020 for 90,000. And in 2021, it went up to 418,000.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I'll tell you, this guy was like, my head was spinning, and I've listened to this hearing again, and he did a lot of comparisons, and and he actually changed 2 of his numbers while we were there at the hearing. So that the number on the page, I don't know if it's showing up in the paperwork online here, but he would like to stay the same as 2020 with the house. The new value is 2,221,800. He'd like to keep it the same as it was in 2020, which is 1,886,300. Right, so that's for appeal number 103. Number 104, he was at 254,400, and then he got increased to 950,400. And what he's asking for now is 170,771. He's taking I believe he said 70%. I have to double check that, of the assessed value, because when he gets when he sets everything up again, I think the farm status will change things. But he did change his number from 254,400 down to 170,771. And then with appeal number 105, he was in 2020, he was 90,000, increased to 418,000. He is asking to go to 60,509. So you know, the realtors are probably familiar with this property. I mean, it's really, there's, yes, he does want to bring it back to farm status, but it's very limited in what he can do with it, I think, because of all the wetlands there. I think 900 Pequot is probably the most likely parcel that he'll be able to do something with, because there is a lot of wetlands on the 93 Banks Place property. So let's discuss. So that, you know, so the acreage was no longer considered acreage. It was, when that farm status came off, they measured it in square feet, which I thought was interesting. And you know, there's charts in here. He went through, and you can see, I don't know what page it's on. I'm looking at the paperwork in front of me, but he did a whole study on how many non-buildable lots there were in town and what they sold for. And let me see where that is, which appeal that is. It's in the last one. Oh yeah, it's in appeal 104. Vacant lot sales. All, and actually, I take it back. He did a list of vacant lot sales going back to 2018. But all of those were buildable lots. In fact, some of them have houses on them now. And you can see that some of them are much less than what he is talking about for his appeal. So
I'm reading part of his argument. He says the fair value should not change because of a change in farm status. This should only affect assessed value.
Correct.
Well, he's willing to stay the same for the house. Let me just pull that up. He's willing to stay the same. Gotta get some new papers for this. For the property that has the house on it. Yeah. He wants to go down to the, you know, the 1,886,300 as he was in 2020. I mean, he said, look, every property in town in 2020, when the reval happened, every property in town, if you look at the field cards from 2020 to 2021, nobody changed unless they did something, you know, unless they really had a specific addition or, you know, remodel or something like that. But he said, I'm just asking to stay the same as I was in 2020, because I knew what the reval was. I knew what my taxes were going to be. And now all of a sudden, I'm in 2021, I've increased by 60%. And everybody else stayed the same.
Yeah, this is Kathleen. I'm looking at the cover sheet there. I think what he wants, because you mentioned some dollar amounts that he changed in his hearing, so I did the quick math. I don't think he changed his appraised ask. I think if he was 254 and he asked for 177, that's the assessed value. That's not the appraised value. And I think what he was appealing was just the fact that when the farm status came off, something happened to the property to change the values on the land. Instead of it just taking, you know, as we see the farm status at the top, it takes it down to a certain percentage. Something happened when it changed from acreage to square feet. So maybe Ross can explain whether it was a bug in the computer, because I think he has a valid argument. I think he just wants to go back to what it was in 2020 before the, you know, without the farm status on it. I think he's being really reasonable. We just need to understand what happened with the software, right? Is Ross, I see him on the call. Ross, can you explain what happened, why the values changed when you took the farm status off? The appraised value changed, right? Not just the assessed value. And the appraised shouldn't have changed if you took the farm status off, is my understanding.
Well, part of the problem is all properties, the first 2 acres are put in as square footage, up to 2 acres. Anything over 2 acres goes in as acreage. So we have a mix of how we enter the land values. Farm has to be in as acreage. So when if you have a parcel that's only farm, it has to, the first 2 acres have to be entered as acreage and not square footage. I know it doesn't sound like it makes a lot of sense, and it does cause problems sometimes, like we see here, but it's the way the system was set up, and it's what we have to work with.
Okay,
So
so
is the square footage correct, size of the parcel? In other words,
I
when
don't
you
believe this.
switched them back to,
I'm sure that's correct. I would doubt that the size changed. We wouldn't have changed the size, but converting it from, again, the way the system calculates acreage and square footage in the first 2 acres versus excess acreage, there are differences there.
so would the first 2 acres be on the main property, 98 Banks, which has the house on it, and then the rest of it should have been
Well, they're 3 separate parcels.
yes, but one deed.
Right, but there's still 3 individual parcels. You can put multiple parcels on a deed.
So why did you're saying just because he lost the farm status, that's why he went up 60%?
I don't know where he's getting 60% from, unless he's including the loss of farm classification.
Well, I mean, just taking the 2.5 acre property, he went from, in 2020, went from 254,400 to 954,000. That's a big jump.
Are you
And
talking assessment or value?
a value.
Yeah, I don't have them all in front of me, so.
So, yeah, so I know he's got a number of 170, 771 for that 900 Pequot Avenue, but yeah, I think what he wants to do for the other 2 lots is to keep the assessed value the same for 900 Pequot, which would be 178. No, I'm sorry. No, it wouldn't be. It would be, I'm looking at the,
Okay, let's look at it this way.
no.
I wrote it down. At one number 103, he wanted, it was 188,600. Number 104, it was 170,71. Am I right? Number 105, it was 90.
Wait, oh, appeal number, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I think it's probably helpful to actually, for me, maybe to print out the appeal number, the cover sheet, just to make sure.
Yeah. So ask that question again, Judy.
Oh, no, okay, so, well, it's your appeal. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna print out that first page of each one so I can get a good handle on it.
Yep.
I'm having trouble with the assessed and appraised values.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay, I see. All right, on 103, he's got fair market value. So that is the asset in those lines. That's the appraised value?
The 188,600, yes.
Yeah.
That was
Okay,
2020. He's asking to stay there.
that's the appraised. Okay, and that's where the house is, yes?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm good with that. Okay, now let me go to the next one. 104. Okay. Now let's see, 900 Pequot is the land that touches that property, that borders that
Right.
property.
Landlocked.
Okay, landlocked. All right. and that had farm status, yes?
Right.
And so, okay, I see. All right, okay.
So
Oh,
in,
okay.
so
And
in
then,
2020, it was the fair value was 254,400. And in 2021, it jumped up to 950,400.
mhm. Okay.
And
So
so, go
I guess
ahead.
the question would be to Ross, if, unless I'm wrong, my understanding was when you do farmland, the number that's low is the assessed value, not the appraised value. The appraised value stays the same as normal. It's appraised, but then you go, then the taxes go off the assessed value. So that's what you'll see come out really low. So, okay, so then why did those values go up so high after the assessment, after the reval? They should have stayed the same, just like the guy said.
It was probably because of the change from acreage to, or square footage to acreage,
It
or
makes
vice
that much
versa.
sense.
It can, and it, you know, in this case, it looks like it did.
Okay.
So I think, you know, just
So
And
now,
This is a buildable lot at 254.4. Where do you get that number from? That's even crazy. That's unbuildable.
yeah.
Okay.
That's still high in my opinion.
I don't
Well-
think we knew it was unbuildable.
Well,
What's that?
it's unbuildable because it's landlocked.
Yeah, it's not a, he can't sell that as a buildable lot. It's landlocked. They'd have to go through his property to get to it. And it's bordered by another property on Pequot, and then the train tracks on the other side.
Does the new card have it stated as landlocked as well, or did that status go away
Oh,
with the new one,
uh,
2022? Because we're looking at the 2021.
I don't know what,
Wondering if that's,
let me see, what is this? Ross, do you know the answer to that?
It's got a reduction for access, but it's 10%. It
Okay.
doesn't, it's not noted as being landlocked.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong piece. Hold on.
okay, no. I'm looking at the field card from the second appeal, 900 Pequot Ave.
Right.
The old card
But this
says,
2021, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, it's noted as being landlocked, and it's reduced by 50%.
okay. Hmm.
It's a big piece. It's 2.5 acres. That's why.
2.5
Well,
acres.
is it our job to figure out what the hiccup was, or is it really
No.
just our job to solve it
not.
back,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, our job is just really, we spend too much time looking at other stuff, extraneous
Yeah.
stuff, and analyzing it. We need to just say, we need to look at the values, okay? Now, I'll give you my personal opinion, then we can discuss whatever you guys want to say about it. But I believe that those values should go back to the way they were. I think that one lot that we were just talking about is overvalued, but he just asked to go back to that. So we don't have to get into what's it really worth. If he wants to do that, he can get an appraisal on it and then come back, the next time when he's eligible to do that. Because I don't know what that lot is worth. I think it's worth less. I know it's a big piece of property, but it is really worthless except that it's there. Does it supply him with privacy? Yeah. Is it beautiful to look at? No, I'm intimately acquainted with these properties. I've spent months trying to sell the house next door, in and out of that driveway. So I don't think it adds any beauty. It's kind of ugly, but that's not the point. The point is that they shouldn't have gone up. So I think we should go back to the appraised values that he's asking for. I don't think it's an unreasonable request. I think it should go back, and that's it. And I don't understand why going from acreage to square footage makes so much of a difference, but I don't have to understand that. I just have to know that I think he has a good case, and I'm willing to put him back to where he was.
You
Anybody
took the words right out of my mouth, Paulette. I'm in complete agreement.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair that, considering where he was in 2020. It's not like he was, there in 2018 or,
Yep.
15. He bought this property knowing that what his taxes would be, what it was assessed for. And I think I think it's fair to put him right where he was in 2020 with the reval.
Okay.
Yeah, this is Kathleen. I added up the three acts and it comes to 2.2 million, 2,230,700.
Yep.
And he paid what, 3.1? So relatively, that's what we're doing. We're just taking him from the 3.1 to the 2.2.
Yes.
But, if you add all three lots, right, that's what he
I
bought.
think-
He bought that much property and he's asking to have to go to 2.2 million. So, we could look at each piece, but I think getting the assessed value in there is mixing it up. I think his cover sheets are correct. I think his asked amounts are on his cover sheet, right? He's asking for the 1,886,000 on the main property, the 254,400 on the 900 Pequot, and then he's asking for the 90,000 on the 90 bank. The 90,000 just seemed low to me, but maybe that's a smaller parcel than the other one. I don't know, but
It is
yeah,
smaller.
that's the one that went from 4.8.
Less than an acre.
So,
Are you?
And
small.
that's the one that's
Okay, I mean,
mostly
I'm
wet.
Yeah, I'm fine with giving him the 2.2. Something else happened with the 98 banks because it bumped up and down on the card. It looks like, I'm not sure why that happened. It looks like it went from 2019, it went lower in 20, so it actually got changed, but I didn't see an appeal on that. In 2019, the grand list was 2.2 on the main property. 2020, it went down to 1.8 million, and then in 2021, it went back up to 2.2. So I don't know why that happened, why he went down from 19 to 20 without an appeal. So that's where he was in 2019. It was at 2.2 million. 2,201,000, and then in 20 it went down to 1,886,000, and then in 2021 it went back up to went to 2,221,800. So I don't know why. Ross, why would it go down from 19 to 20? Grand list.
That was the reval year.
Oh, right. Okay, so it went down because of the reval. Then he bumped back up because of the thing. Never mind. I got it. Okay, so he's asking to go to the 20 reval number. Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Katie, you have anything to say?
No, other than I think initially Helene didn't get a second. So for the record, I'll second it and I think we should just vote.
Okay. Maybe we should vote each one separately because it's probably easier for the assessor's office when they have to put the numbers.
Okay.
Okay. So go ahead, Elaine.
So for appeal number 103, where the appellant is asking for a reduction to 1,886,300,000.
All in favor of granting the appellant's request, as Elaine stated, please raise your hand. I think it's unanimous. Kathleen, I can't see your hand, but I'm assuming.
Yes, it looks unanimous.
Yeah.
All right, if it's okay, the motion passes, appeal is granted to the requested amount unanimously. Next one, Helene.
Okay, appeal number 104, 900 Pequot Avenue. The appellant is asking for a reduction down to 254,400,000. We have all in favor.
All in favor?
Did we need a second?
I'm in favor.
No,
Unanimous.
we don't. We
No,
second.
because we already seconded the.
Yeah, we're just
Okay.
voting.
And appeal number 105 is 93 Banks Place. The appellant is asking for a reduction down to 90,000 appraised value.
All in favor? Okay, I think that's unanimous. Okay, both
Yes.
passed unanimously. The appeals are granted as requested. Now, before we go on to the next one, I apologize. I should have said this in the beginning, but I forgot. Ross had some questions about the minutes, and he's having trouble sending out the letters based on the information that's in them. The 2 days in particular that were an issue for him. because there were some questions that didn't seem, I guess it seemed like there were some questions on what we actually voted to do. So those were, Ross, remind me, what days were those?
We can start with the 22nd, which was last Tuesday.
22. Okay. Do we have to go through them, or do you know exactly what the questions are?
I can go through them if you're
Okay.
fine with that.
Go ahead.
Okay, so on the 22nd, the first one would be Appeal 21.
Is this, are these the ones that you sent an email out this morning to?
That's it. Yep.
Okay, I responded to mine. I don't know if
Yeah,
that
well,
mattered.
we don't have answers on all of them, and I still have some questions on
Been
yours.
seeing the email.
So
Okay. Which one was Appeal 20, whatever you said?
it was 185 Ronald Drive.
Oh, yeah.
So
Okay.
this one, you had a motion to grant it to 320,000. And then there's comments to change this was the raised ranch.
Split. Yeah.
Split.
Sorry.
Love.
And you wanted to change the base area back to finished raised basement. And so if I do that, the square footage becomes 1411, not the 1440 that's noted, and the value becomes 474,400, not 320. So I don't know if you wanted it to go to 320 or if you wanted it to go to what the FRB would change it to.
I believe we voted to go to was it 320?
Yeah.
320
Yeah.
is assessed. That's what we found out. He assessed on his form. So the motion should have been either to use the word assessed or to change it to the appraised value. Probably to be consistent, motion probably should be recorded as appraised, right? And that's like everybody else for real estate. But that's what we figured out. He put assessed on his cover sheet, and we should have changed it to appraised. And that makes more sense. That gets him really close to what happens when you change the square footage in his basement.
So his appraised value should be 320 divided by 0.7, which is 457,143.
457,143.
Right, and that's less than what the change takes it to.
And so the town had him at 478,900. And now he's going to 457,143.
Is that what you approved?
Well, we didn't approve anything because we were waiting to see what number that would be, because we didn't know what the new square footage would result in.
But it says you took a vote and it was granted.
To change, yes, but to change the square footage, but we were waiting for the final number. Let me just look here. 325, 78. Well, I'm looking at the comps that were used, and actually, that number is kind of consistent with the other properties on the street that have that similar square footage. So even though his number is lower than what you are coming up with, I think, we just keep his square footage the way he wanted it.
But you can't grant a square footage. You get to grant a value.
Okay, then Helene.
But
I'm sorry.
I mean, I can tell you what the change to FRB would be. And that would be
I think this is Kathleen.
474,400.
What was that number?
474,400.
That's what his appraised value is at that new square footage?
Right, changing that one section to FRB
Okay, then that's, Helene, it's up to you. It's your appeal, but I think that's too
So,
much.
but the original, what the town originally had him at with 1,700 plus square feet was 478,900. So you're saying even with taking all that square footage off, it's only a matter of,
You're not removing, you're not removing the area. You're changing it from living area to basement area. So the basement area has value still. You're not completely eliminating the
see,
value.
that's not,
Wait a minute, though. That's true. It still has value, but in those splits, that lower level gets valued differently.
Right.
So valuing that as a basement, as a finished basement, and it still only comes down to 474,400. Is that what we're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Helene, it's up to you, but I would want to look at that again because the inside of that house did not warrant that money.
but see, the thing is, the other comps that I was using, if you look at on vision appraisal, there's one entry for the square footage and it says first floor. That's it. And then they give 0 value to all of the other, basement finished raised basement, 0 value to all of the rest.
It's incorrect.
Well, I'm looking at,
It's not 0 value. It's 0 square footage under living area.
okay. So what I wanted to do for him was that same application. So the 1411 should have been first floor, BAS. Because that's what his square footage is.
We've
Total square footage.
changing that area to FRB changes his total living area to 1411.
And so on his field,
And then,
he's getting at is on his field card now, does it show that 1411 is that there's where it says finished basement or whatever it is, that's 0 now. So everything shows up on one level.
Well, we still have an upper story listed.
Okay.
So it's the same as base area. It's all prime living area. So the BAS and the FUS are the same, but it totals 1411.
So on the bottom, on the vision appraisal card, at the bottom line where it gives you the square footage, you go 1411. When you go
Yes.
line by line, it'll say upper story X, first floor X, and then 0 for all the others, and it comes out to 14, whatever.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. Okay.
well, there's really not much of a difference then.
And Helene, do you think that's fair market value, or do we need to go through this again based on the pictures you took and what you saw?
No, I don't. I mean, I don't think it's.
Okay. So
I
then
think-
we were the group that, I don't know if it was unanimous or not, but obviously you voted for it, so we can reopen that and do it again. Okay, we're gonna leave that one alone, Russ. We're not ready with that one yet. We'll try to do that tonight. Okay.
Okay. I would suggest that if you want to see what a card change will do, is that you don't vote on it until you see the card change.
Okay. So just let it go.
Otherwise, it comes through as a decision.
Okay, so just request the change, and then we wait to see what happens.
Right.
Okay. All righty, good. Okay, what was the next one?
Next one is
What's his
Ross,
ask
go ahead.
value on this one? Do we have
What?
his ask value? Because
Yeah.
he asked in assessed dollars. So let's get what he's asking for corrected. So Kathy has that in the minute. I think he's asking to go to 457,143.
Wait a minute.
yeah,
Oh.
round that off to the nearest 10 to 140.
Okay. 457, 140. Okay, that was his ask for his assessed value?
Right. He filled out his appeal form in assessed dollars, not in appraised value. Because the
All right,
town's
we're gonna look at it again, so we don't need to worry about that now. We'll reopen that one and redo the whole thing. Okay, Ross, what's the next one?
okay. Next one is appeal 48. It's 155 Moody.
Okay,
It's listed as granted in part.
okay,
But the new value matches the requested value. And then there's a note to change the land condition from 0.95 to 0.85.
Moody? Whose was Moody?
Was that Peter's? Because he's not here.
I don't believe I was there for that one. That doesn't sound familiar.
Sounds familiar to me, and I know that we wanted to reduce the land value because the location and what's going on with it across the street, right across from the tire place and all that. So maybe we should have done the same thing. We should have said, what's the value gonna be, and then decided. I'm guessing it's similar to the one we just did, where we picked a number without knowing what it was gonna do. Ross has changed.
So do you want that to be the value, 378.4?
Well, if you take it down to that number, that 85, that 0.85, what does it do?
Let me open it up.
It's very close, 378.7. So that's what I thought you were aiming
There it
for.
is. Yep. Yeah, the 0.85 makes it 378.7.
Okay. All right. Well, if that's what we were aiming for, then we can, now we have to change the minutes that say that it was granted. Was that what he want? Was that what that person asked for? Or was that in part? I don't have it in front of me.
He asked for 378.4.
Okay. So, all right. So then it is a grant in part because it's not quite the number that he asked for. Is that correct?
So it should be 378.7.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Next.
It'd be Appeal 50. This is personal property. Amy Reese.
Mhm.
So Carol, you had responded. Let me just open that up.
Yeah,
So
these are a pain in the butt because I think that I go by what the appeal cover sheet had.
right. So here's the question.
Yeah.
When she declared, and the declaration she gave you 1,012 as the original cost of whatever items she had.
Okay.
That needs to be depreciated, I would assume, like we do all others. If that was purchased in 21, it would be depreciated at 95%. So 1,012 times 0.95 is 961.40. So that's the 961.40 is the depreciated value.
Okay, but I was under the impression that they filled out these declaration cards, and on that, I mean, not declaration cards, sorry, that form, and that form is like 7 pages, and it doesn't it have a schedule for them to depreciate? You mean they don't fill it out correctly?
Well, that's the whole problem with these is that most of these people didn't file them.
Right, but
Well, let me
then they
pull it
did.
up and see which. Okay, I don't have a deck in the file on this one.
It was handed in, it's
So,
not in the appeal file, it's in your office, as I.
but in any
All right,
event,
in any case.
let's assume it was 1,012. We
Okay,
depreciated at 95%, so that gets you a net depreciated value of 961.40
okay,
times 0.7. So the assessment would be 670 rounded
Okay.
on 1,012. And then when you put the penalty back on,
right,
it becomes 840.
okay.
So I didn't know how we arrived at a new value of 1,012 unless that was the original cost that you were.
That was.
That's what we were yeah.
But this is Kathy, the secretary, recording secretary. When you did the calculation of 1,012, I think you took 70%, which gave you 708.40, and added the penalty to that. And coincidentally, you get the same thing as if you depreciate at 95%. But during the conversation, there was nothing about depreciation.
No.
So Russ, are you saying, thank you, Kathy. Russ, are you saying that 840 is the number we should be using that's what we should have been voting on?
I believe 840 is the correct assessment if you're starting with 1,012.
That's fine, because in theory, what we were voting on is for her assessment to not go to the default
of whatever the amount was because she didn't file. So we understood the penalty has to be there, and we just wanted it to reflect what she has since then now showed on her declaration. So I believe that your math is correct. If the first cost was 1,012, then you're right, you depreciate, then you take the assessment, add the penalty. We're like, let's use that number of 8. Give it again for Kathy.
840.
Okay, fine.
Mhm.
Am I right, everybody, that that's what we were in theory agreeing on?
Yeah, I think
Okay,
you're,
I don't want to put words in people's mouths, but
No,
okay.
that was what we were doing. So Kathy,
Okay.
what do the minutes have to say that
I don't have language for personal property that's too different than the real estate, so I'm just going to
why don't we
yes,
say
recommend something.
that we approve the value of 840 based on the depreciation and penalty? Can we say that?
Assessed.
Net assessed.
Yeah,
Assessed value
the,
of
the
8.
problem is Kathy uses the words from and to. And
Oh, I can get rid of those. I mean,
Oh, okay.
Get rid of
Okay.
those for that.
Then don't do it. Don't use those. My suggestion for the personal property, because we
Yeah.
don't know if
they're
the
on
property is
the
assessed or appraised.
yeah, they're on the appeal application. That's where I get them from.
Okay. I think for everything else it's okay, but for this, because it's different.
So is
So let's-
840 with a penalty, or that's just the assessed value?
That's the assessed value, including
Okay.
the penalty.
$840 is the assessed value, including the penalty.
Yes.
Late
Okay.
penalty. Late, whatever it's called, late fee.
Okay, Ross, what's the next one?
Appeal 41.
Oh my God, are any of these right? Go ahead.
We got a bunch on this day. 40 Meadow Ridge Road.
Right. So did my explanation wasn't good enough?
Yeah, this had no value. It just said you wanted the land down 150,000,
Correct.
but the ask was 994.9. I guess that's 150.
Here was my thinking on this is, according to the field card, it didn't look like the home was 100% complete. And I guess what we were concerned was if we give you a total value, that value is going to stay. So the building is going to adjust as it rightfully should, as it is when the CO is granted. We're just focusing the $150,000 reduction on the land, which is the issue, because of the defects on the land, and it was a stewardship conservation easement.
yeah, and
So
this 177 High Meadow too. Or no, I'm sorry, Meadow.
yeah, but yours, I think that the law is like 8 years old, so you can give a total number because the house is not changing.
Yeah.
So I don't know, Ross, it's up to you. That's the concept. Now, can you translate that to what works in your world?
Well, what do you want the assessment to be? 994.9?
Is that
That was
include
appraised.
is that $150,000 reduction?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess like, again, my concern is that I wasn't certain, and I didn't ask him at the time whether the CO is granted. So I just want to make sure that when it is granted, that your building increases accordingly. So will that happen?
Well, I mean, because once there's a change of that nature to the property, then we can revalue it.
Okay.
So whatever.
Can you get to that final number by reducing just the land? I don't want to take it a little off the house and a little off the land. That was our whole point, was it comes off the land completely.
Yeah, I'm probably, maybe, yes. Well, I can, yeah. I can do whatever I
Well, see,
need to do.
that's why we wanted to grant it with that wording so that that is what happens. That was it has nothing to do with the building, the new home. Am I right, guys?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
So you want the assessment to be
it-
994.9.
And 100% of
appraised.
that 150 is
Appraised.
comes off the land
Yeah,
value.
this is Kathleen. I think we talked about 0.7, right? I think you guys did the math and you thought if he took the site index from a 0.9 or whatever he's at now and take the site index to a 0.7, that would have taken about 150 off of the land. I think that's
Well,
where
I
you
was
were going. It went
confused.
somewhere close to that, right? But
I
he's
was a little
at the
confused
grant
because
has him at
Rob-
1,144,900. So we would grant him down to 994,900, or else some number close to that gets calculated with a 0.7, but it's appraised, not assessed value, right?
we're talking appraised.
Okay.
When Ross responded back, the way I read it, Ross, was you said the 0.7 condition brings the total down by an additional 152,000. So I was like, well, that's not going to work. That's too much. So are you saying it was a total of 152,000?
Right.
Not
Oh,
150 that we wanted plus another 152.
It
okay.
was ju-
Then
it
I
actually,
misunderstood the way you described that. I mean, I'm not, then that's perfect. I mean, who cares about 2,000? I hate to say it, but, right? I mean, if the numbers work by reducing it to 0.7, that's good to me.
Okay. So,
I mean, do we have to re-vote on that? Because now it's a $2,000 extra?
we don't have to, well, we don't have to revote on, we have to change the minutes to reflect that it's going down 152,000.
And that's actually a grant in
you
part.
already
because
you
it's-
already granted it to 994.9.
Yeah,
Based
so-
on what I see.
Yeah.
in Minutes.
So now, Ross, can we ensure that stays on the card? Because because we're changing the site index, so it'll stay that way, right?
Technically you can't.
Okay.
Your job is to change the assessment.
Okay.
I try to, this is what I've been trying to do over the years, is to recode cards so that these people don't come back.
Okay. Well, that's what I kind of meant, because that land, in my opinion, that land is not going to go up in value because it's a conservation. They're not allowed to walk on it. It's one of those easements where they have to put up a fence and stay off of it. So that's never going to add value to anybody's property. That's just, I don't see how that's going to ever, it's an encumbrance. It's really not a value added feature. So, okay, well, if you're going to do that to the card, then I guess I got my question answered. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
So
Okay.
it's 994.9.
Yep.
And Kathy, you've got that?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, next one is 81. It's this, neighboring property.
Yeah, same thing. Only this one is fully, the house is already done.
But you've got a granted to 741.3 in the minutes.
But she probably meant
is
the
that-
land. She's
Is that an
No,
assessed value?
Yeah, no, so I changed, he wanted to go to 1,464,114.
What was that again?
appraised.
Appraised value,
Yep.
1,464,114.
Okay.
But this is Kathy. You decided you wanted to go 0.7 from 0.9, just like the previous property, right? That was your goal?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So if Russ can do the calculation on that.
Yeah. Give me a sec here.
Okay.
Keep doing 81 Meadow Ridge, 62. So that would bring the assessment to 1,513,700.
Okay, well, what we did next door, we have to do him, in my opinion. So it's a little more than the 100, or a little less, I should say, than the 150,000, but,
The price comes down more than 150. It comes
Oh,
down 164,700, I think.
Okay.
100.
Cool.
But I mean, I think it's important that we stick with that same formula of the site index down to 0.70. So what, you know, whatever that number is, that's what it is.
I agree.
Okay. All right, I'm good with that.
What was the number? 1,516 something?
1,513,700.
Is that what you voted for on?
They voted to go from 0.9 to 0.7. That's what they
Okay.
voted on.
So now though, do we have to vote again on the number, or do we just have to fix the number in the minutes?
I mean, you should have an amendment in there.
Right, so I did redo it and I have an amendment saying that the new number is as a result of going from the 0.9 to or I think I put 90% to 70% because that's the language they used
Mhm.
during the meeting.
And you've got
Okay.
that value in
Okay.
there,
Mm-hmm, yes.
and that's good enough for me. Next.
Okay, Appeal 117.
Yeah, that's another personal property. So what did I say? Yes, keep the 218 as the assessed value.
But again, we probably did that wrong because we didn't account, was there depreciation we needed to account for, Ross?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So their starting point was a laptop that they wanted to value at $250.
you know when that laptop was purchased? Did they indicate that?
Let me take a look at it again. Again, these people should have.
Yeah, I don't see that it was scanned in, so.
No, they weren't scanned in. They were done, many of these were done after I met with them. I said, I'm not going to do anything till I hear from the assessor that you've filled out your declaration.
Yeah, but we scanned all that stuff in, so I'm not sure why I'm not seeing it here.
Kathleen, I'm sorry, not Kathleen. Carol, did he say when he started his business?
Which one is this? I'm getting, because there was two with laptops. I'm getting them mixed up. One was, was the recording guy and the other was Quinn Contracting, which I'm sorry.
This is Quinn Contracting.
Oh,
Right.
this is Quinn Contracting. Okay. No. I mean, he was more saying that he hadn't been at that address for 3 years. And that all he has is, he subcontracts everything out and all he uses is a laptop. And I said, well, you need to file that then. We left it at that. I mean, that's really the issue was more as I was reading, as I was thinking, these people don't file their personal properties. So the town, rightfully so, throws a default in there and it's their job to come back, file it, and then it gets corrected. So that was my methodology.
So do you want it to be net at 200 then?
And I did speak to him. He returned my phone call and said he went down there and filled one out. I mean, unless he's lying to me because the phone call wasn't under oath, but he told me he did. And he
Yeah, and I'm not saying, I mean, we might have
So
missed the,
I don't know. I mean, for such a nominal value, let's like make it up then. If it 250, I mean, he says hasn't been in that office since 218. He said it was an old laptop to begin with. So,
did you want it to be a net of 280?
assume that it has been depreciating because a laptop doesn't cost 250. A laptop costs 1,200. So assume that in this case, if I may, 250 is the depreciated value. Okay.
And so throw the assessed value on top of that.
Okay, it'd be 220.
Reduced from that.
220 with a penalty.
With the penalty. Okay.
The
Yeah.
250 times the 70% is 175. Add 20%, it's 218.75. You round it to 220.
Perfect.
Okay. So now we have to correct the minutes
Net 220 with penalty.
with penalty.
Assessed.
Okay.
I think that's what we did. That's why I have in my notes the number 219 was his request. So I think we
Yeah, I
granted
have
that.
my
I
notes
don't-
say that as well, yeah.
Mhm.
As long as the notes reflect how we did it, I guess that's good.
Okay, that's Tuesday. The rest aren't as bad. This is the
But wait, there's more.
23rd.
23rd. Okay.
And
Okay.
this is the 88 and 89. Appeals 88 and 89.
Okay. Is that the farm?
Yeah, these are the farms. So
That would be Katie and Peter.
do you want numbers on those?
Oh, well, what's wrong with them? What's wrong from your standpoint?
Well, just that, I would have I can give you a number so that we have a number as opposed to just a, an indication of what you want as the coding.
Okay, give us a number.
So on 1069, it's 675, 360.
Okay.
And on 1120 Hulls Farm,
Mhm.
that coding's a little different than what it was. So it's actually a little, the assessment comes down a little bit from what it had been at 19.8. The other property never had farm on it. The
Okay.
property with the house.
Well, this is Kathy. I'm not clear on the numbers you just read.
And neither am I.
Yeah, those are assessed
Oh.
because you can't do an appraised value on a farm because the
Right.
appraised value doesn't change.
Okay. So the assessed value of 1069 is how much?
675, 360.
675,360.
Yes.
Isn't he using part of that as a farm?
That's with the farm.
And that's the result of changing 0.2 acres to till D and 1.15 acres to permanent pasture.
Yes.
How come it's so high?
Because you still have a building lot in there. I mean, he's got a house on there and it's not all being used.
Okay. Katie, was that one
It-
yours or was that one Peter's?
He went from assessment of 903,000 to 675.
Okay. All right.
I mean, again, if we look, we should be looking at this card because we've been thinking in terms of the land when we talk about the farm, not the whole, right? We've never been questioning the building, the
Well,
improvement.
that's because it's different though. That's the house. We haven't been questioning like a barn or a shelter for an animal.
Yeah, I remember, I mean, we all said we wanted to keep, the building is, the outbuildings were fine.
Yeah. Yep.
But
Okay. So what did we ask for a number there or we were waiting for Ross for a number? What did the minutes say?
I think we were waiting for a number from Ross. The
Okay.
result
So-
of, the 0.2 tillable D and 1.15 permanent pasture. So I now have that as assessed at 675,360.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and that's, and he's still got, so besides that, just so I'm clear on it, besides those things that you just mentioned, which was what, about an acre and a half?
Yeah, 1.35.
So then after that 1.35, he still has another building lot in there?
We still got a half acre that his house is on. 21,344 square feet.
Okay, so we still have a half acre. Okay.
And then the next appeal is also his, right? That's more land.
Yeah. So half acre building. Okay. Okay. All right. Next one. So what was the next one, Ross?
It's 1120 Hulls Highway. That was 19,800 with the farm on it.
Okay. All right. So let's make those changes. Katie, which one did you do? Did you do the one with the building?
I did 1069.
Okay. So what did he request? Because I don't even remember.
I've got to, let me pull it up. Hang on. Hang on.
What's the new assessed value for 1120 Hulls Highway?
19,800.
And he asked for 29,430, right? That's what I see as his ask amount. I don't know if he was asking for appraise. Is that what it is, appraise? I don't know.
I don't know.
So just looking at my notes on 1069,
Mhm.
he had or at least in this, the top part that's already filled out by the town, it said that the requested value was 477,670.
Okay. Well, we're way off from that. So
Yeah.
Maybe-
But at the same time, I mean, I think we granted when we got to the breakdown, didn't we grant in terms of the classification what he asked for?
well, we might have granted. I mean, if he asked for a value of 477,670, and the value is and the value of the town saying is 675,360, unless one's appraised and one's assessed, and I don't realize it, that's a big difference.
Let me see.
Yeah, I think the 675 is assessed and the 477 is appraised.
Is that correct? Because if it is, then we're good.
No.
Oh, it's backwards, isn't it?
Yeah,
The assessed should be much lower than the appraised.
The assessed should be. I thought that's what you said.
well, here's the thing though. Just looking at the field card, the assessed value for his house is already 329. So we could never get to 477.
Oh, okay. All right.
Right? With the land.
Yeah.
If
Okay.
the house is already at 330.
Yep. All right. Then I just want to make sure. Okay. Then I'm fine with those numbers if everybody else is. Katie, if you are, it was your appeal.
Yeah, as long as it reflects what we agreed to, which is the classification and the reduction that follows that, then I'm fine.
Okay.
Betty,
All right. So those are the numbers. Kathy, can you fix the minutes then?
Yes.
Thank you. Ross, what's next?
Appeal 5, 1810 Fairfield Beach Road.
Yep.
All right, this is the South Pine Creek, or not South Pine Creek, the FBA PC4.
Yeah.
So what are you looking for a value on this property?
Their request was 1,173,490.
Which I think we all felt was too low.
Right. So what I think we wanted to.
Right, Katie, I'm sorry.
I remember, did we say let's change the coding and see if that changes anything?
Right. I think
Right.
our problem was the fact that that strip of land, I think we argued the strip of land most of the time. And we were arguing that strip of land should be valued the same way the other strips are, which we already changed one or two.
right.
And so that strip to be the same, pretty much or close to it. And I think that was the issue, that piece doesn't mean that his whole property is waterfront. And I think that's what's partially wrong, is that his whole property is in the wrong code.
Right.
But you're going to need to get me to a value because that strip is not valued separately on his card.
Okay.
Well, isn't that what we said though? There was like
Yeah.
a breakout. If you look at his field card, hang on, let me pull up his field card. There was a breakout to an extent, there was something about that strip.
I think what you guys decided was to take two different things. One was to take the strip, which is currently valued at whatever it is on the card, and reduce the strip part of it down to whatever the Fair Acres one, appeal number 61, whatever we took that to. I don't have it in my notes, but I think it was at 42,000 or something.
That's what I had in my notes. Mhm.
Yeah.
40,000. Okay. So that, whatever that line two is, changes from whatever, I don't have the card up right now, but whatever
300.
okay, so it goes from 74,300 down to 42,000. So we're reducing him by 32,300. That's the first reduction. And then really the only change on other landline was the total value. I'm just looking to try to get to the total value. So how you get to that total value. And then
You're looking at the wrong card. The card you're looking at is the 2020 card. That land was revised for 21. So you're looking at the card as it was for 2020.
Where's the card for 2021?
I guess I'm confused because in 2020, he was denied his appeal. So how did it in 2021?
I changed the coding on the card for
Oh,
21. I didn't change the value, I changed the coding. So the
okay.
land became all Pine Creek.
Oh, okay.
All right, so I think we agreed to just change the value on that strip. And anything else?
So what's the reduction?
The
where
reduction.
can we see the new card? Rob, where's the new card? Is it in the backup?
It's
Would be
got-
it should have been added. It would have been the last page in the last two
there.
pages.
It's now in the backup? Okay.
yes.
So don't click link in the spreadsheet.
Let me look it up.
Okay. So the land is now okay, so and you gave no land value for the strip, or it's all in the first line item?
Right.
Got it.
Let's see here.
But he's a PC4 now, which is what he wanted.
Okay. So he's a PC4, which is what we had wanted him to do. And then Russ, I'm this is confusing for me with that all those old codes and things. So you change him down to a PC4, which changes value. And that included that piece of land is now PC4, or that's not?
It's all one piece now.
All one piece.
All
Okay.
one thing.
And how much of a change in value? Because I'm not seeing that field card in here. Maybe
I didn't change the value from 20. The value remained the same.
Oh, okay. All right. So then we do have to then we do want it changed. So we wanted it changed to
The
what?
language on the tape says not to exceed the current appraised value.
Okay, we have
You
to change.
wanted Ross to make the changes, but not to increase the value.
Okay. All right. So we changed the code, which is what we wanted. So now we were changing that strip down to what, 42,000?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's taking 30,600 off the top. That's what you would, if you wanted to, assuming that the strip had the same value last time, you thought the strip was valued too low. So even though it's not broken out anymore, the difference between the two is 32,300. So if you want to take the reduction, you can take the total of 1,538,400 and take 32,300 off the top, and whatever that number is would be what you approved.
Okay, I'm good with that.
That's what I.
Yeah.
And then that fit exactly what we said we wanted to do. He changed it to a PC4, and you wanted to value, even though you can't sell it separately, you wanted to value it the way that the other one was valued at 42. So that assumes this one was too high. So take 32,300 off of like I said, off the 1,538,400.
And what does that come to? 1,500.
1,500,000 6,100. Did my math right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's
That sounds
pay that then. We want to
Yes.
value of that strip to that amount, if everybody's okay with that.
Yep.
Okay, Kathy will change that.
Mhm.
What's the next one?
Appeal 111.
Okay,
No, I think I'm all right with that one.
okay.
If we're good there, that might be it. Nope. On March 24th, Thursday, it's Appeal 96.
Oh, yeah.
That should be it. That should be 750,000, right, Kathy?
Correct.
Okay, you just don't have the new value written there. That's all.
Yes. Yep,
Okay.
750. Mhm.
Okay,
And do you have a
Then,
value for the Racito property yet?
Wait-
That was
wait a
one I put it. Okay, sorry.
Russ, we all set with that one now?
With Appeal 89, 96,
96?
yes.
Yes, okay. I'm sorry, Kathleen, what was the next question?
The Umpqua Road one, I was waiting for a value on that. We wanted to get close to 450 by taking a few things off. So if we just need to do 450, wasn't it Umpqua Road? I think it was.
Yeah, I did not have a chance to look at any of the requests today.
Okay.
And then just to confirm, 177 High Meadow, it's Appeal 91.
Mhm.
Did they reduce their request to 410?
Yes.
Okay. Because the motion said it was grant it to 435, and then it was granted at 410. But it looked like they had reduced their ask.
Yeah, they revised their ask at the hearing.
So did we reduce it to 410 or 439?
410.
410, so we did it as they requested, okay. Any more, Ross?
That's it.
How many more are we waiting on for Ross to look at? Anybody know?
I thought it was just my Racito property. I put a ticket in for that whenever last Thursday night or whatever. I think that was the,
No, you decided
What
that
number is, what number is that one?
Umpqua Road you did on the 23rd. And that's the one I
Right.
thought, right, you decided that at 1,450,000.
Okay, then we're done with
Let's
those.
see, I've got one other request that came in on Friday. Yeah, I can just answer this. Kathleen, you asked about zone codes. Zoning does not change the value. That's not a driver of value in our system.
What do you mean zone codes? You mean like zone A, the triple A, the double A?
Right. We put the notation into the landline, but it's just a notation for a
Okay.
reference. It doesn't, you could blank it out, you could make it commercial, you could make it A or triple A, and it wouldn't have anything, doesn't touch the value.
Okay.
It's just a note.
That's interesting.
That's all I got. Thank you.
What about 111 from the 23rd, the one where the woman didn't want her house to be a new build, that they
Oh,
used
yeah.
30% of the material from 1966?
Yeah, that was just
that's the same one, the Umpqua Road house.
yeah, that was a change in the build date. How do you change that? Like if they left 30% of the house up, what year is the build?
Depends on the extent of the remodel. You know, in this case, my understanding was this thing was gutted down to the studs, all new electric, all new plumbing, addition on. I mean, I spoke to her. I asked her what was left. Were any of the bathrooms left? Nope. The kitchen? No. So there was nothing other than the studs that remained from what I could gather.
But the old foundation is still there.
Yeah.
Okay. So still that's not because the foundation is there doesn't make it a 61 or 6, whatever it was build.
No, we would do that, but we'd give him some extra depreciation or some functional because of, not everything being brand new.
The reason I'm asking that is because, well, in selling houses, I find that if it's new, it's new, everything new. But if somebody like did a big remodel, but they left the foundation and maybe added to it if they made the house bigger, but they still considered that build on a lot of the cards to be that year, not the year it was redone. So I'm just confused about how that works out.
Right. It's a judgment call based on the extensiveness of the work that's done.
Oh, okay. All right. Good to know.
I do want to mention something else about that impoundment. Maybe we're not supposed to think about this, but it was emotionally important to her because it was a family property. Since it was 30% of the foundation, why does it matter? Why does it matter? It's 30% of the 30% was original. It's an emotional thing for her. It's not going to change her valuation. Why can't we do that?
What doesn't change the valuation?
It's not going to change anything. She just changed the year built. Changed the year built on it.
Well, it does change the value.
Well,
Because
then
you're
bump it
talking
back
about
up.
depreciation, we'll put it on a very high factor that is in very good condition. So you don't have that depreciation.
And she has a letter from her builder
Bill
in
was
there.
really important to her. Does everybody remember that?
Yeah, she got a letter from
Yeah.
the builder.
Yeah, she has a letter from the builder in the file that says, 30% of the house was saved. She said we saved the overhang, we saved, the studs, the basement, there's some of the framing, it's on the same footprint. They did take the sunroom off and they did add on to it, but she felt strongly that it's a 1960s house and her father had built it or bought it originally and she didn't want it. She did not want a new construction house. That's why she did a remodel, because she didn't want it to be listed as that. So if there's a way to put it at 1960, if the builder's letter says 30%, I think that's what she's not even after. It's not looking for money off. She doesn't like the idea that it's listed as a new construction house because she feels strongly that it's existing and, it was a remodel. So.
Yep, I got it. I just pulled up an aerial image and, just from what I can see, it was completely re-sided and re-roofed with modern materials. It's I forget what they call it, the green exterior that's all sealed and the roof is the same type of paneling. So it was extensive.
Yeah.
Up an interesting point though. Like, what if you had a 200-year-old antique that was completely gutted and all new plumbing and all new electric, and you would lose that historic designation on a house if it was then on a field card if it became like a 2020 new build. I when we're selling houses, I think it's really important for the buyer to know when that house was built originally. I'm not sure I see what you're saying, but I wish there was a way of preserving that original build.
Yep, I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of field cards where it says rebuilt or whatever in a particular year. And you know what? That's helpful for us as realtors as well. We got to know when's the foundation. And especially with that pyrrhotite that's going on in the northeast part of the state, right? It's really important to know about the foundation, that kind of thing. So, I would leave it, I would put it back to the original year built and then just put extensively or whatever remodeled. It wasn't even fully remodeled. It was, according to the contractor, 70% remodeled. Let's get her back to her heritage on that property and the rightful foundation or the rightful age on it, and just make an amendment or adjustment on the condition. That's all.
Ross, are you saying that can't be done or it could be done?
I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at it. I'm just looking at pictures and I'm kind of they took the chimneys down. Oh, they put a new one up. Two, one
Yeah,
fake.
it's the same. It is the same footprint. She kept a lot of,
Yeah,
you know,
no,
it
it is.
is.
Yeah, no, it is.
similar. Yeah,
Just
she
we
added
have
on
we have
to
a
it,
new
but
we have new aerials that are available that like we have flyovers every 6 months.
Oh, nice.
So you can, I can see what the house looked like in April of 19. I can see the construction underway on March 7th of 20. And then the completed product in March of 21.
What do you do? Drones or do you actually fly a plane?
This new service flies a plane,
Wow.
and they're flying every 6 months. It's an incredibly useful tool.
They fly over the whole town or do they do a section at a time?
They're flying they're flying regions. So they're flying at least the more populated areas of the state.
Oh,
I know New Haven's signed up. There's a bunch of other towns. Westport's signing up. But it's a incredibly good tool for doing a lot of the, especially the smaller permits, or checking in on, how far along construction is without having to go to every house. We'll have a flyover in October every year.
okay. I'll keep that in mind. Make sure I'm not outside in October. Okay.
All right. I'm all set.
I have
Thank
one.
you.
Okay.
Can you stay on, Ross? Can we do appeal? Let's see. It's one of Katie's. Can we do
No.
appeal number 82? Because it's had improvements on it, and I just would like him to be here to explain how the improvements changed the card from one year to the next, because it's one of those confusing ones, I think, where they had work done. So that's, I
don't think so. We can ask him questions.
Okay. Yeah.
We don't need Ross is Ross is going to be around. That's fine. We will ask him when it comes up. I think we need to try to work it out before we have him involved. Because again, as I said before, and I'll say it again for the record, I like having Ross's help when we need it. He's very valuable. But I think that when we start to involve him in the actual deliberation process, it is unfair to the homeowner, and it's not the way this was designed to be. Okay, who's next?
All right, I'm taking off then.
You're taking off?
Yep.
Well, how about this then? We might need you. I don't know if we will. How about if we do Katie's, but we just let us do it, and then if we need you, we'll ask for your help. How's that?
That's fine.
All right,
If you
Katie.
want to text me, I can try to call back in.
That's all right. You're here now. Maybe it's just faster to do it this way. All right, Katie, can you do that one? It was number 58. You okay?
I thought she said 82.
Whichever one it was.
I
I
did.
thought it
I said 82.
Okay.
Sorry,
So 82.
okay.
All right. So
This is gonna be-
I'll make a motion to grant appeal number 82 to the requested value of $407,740. Is there a second? Okay. Okay. Appeal number 82 is 260 Roselle Street, 260 Roselle. Am I saying that right? Roselle?
Yeah.
I've never heard of it. The owner is Melissa and John Miola. Town has the property valued at $608,700. The requested value is $407,740. In my notes, I have they purchased it in April of 2021, so just after the reval, and they paid $585 for it. They provided plenty of comps with a breakdown on the square footage basis. They're significantly higher than their neighbors. They only have a one-car garage. All the other comps have two. They have a smaller lot and a smaller house than the comps they provided. Some of the comps have swimming pools and finished attics and things like that. Let me pull up their appeal here so I can see what's what.
I might also add this property sold right before the beginning of the reval period for 485 in July.
Yeah,
of
you're in
19.
July of 19. So what's that? 2 months, 3 months before the reval, and 5 or 6 months after. That's interesting. Okay, so Kathleen, remind me, what was the question?
So the question was, if you look at the vision card for this, there's a change in value between 2020 and 2021 on the property. And because we don't have a February 22 field card, we can't, we don't see that sale, right? But then we also don't see why it changed from the 2020 grand list to the 2021 grand list.
Yeah.
I have to assume that improvements on the property, but that's because right now the current value is 60. This might not be a good example, but right now the value isn't 426,090, right? Was that the assessed? What have they got on their cover sheet? 426.
Yeah.
That's value 426. Yeah, that must be the assessed because
that's the assessed. So they're not asking to go to 407,740, right? They're going to something different. But in short, why were there improvements on this property, Ross, between 21 and
260 Roselle, right?
Yes.
So we went from, and again, this is assessed numbers 406, 210, and 20. And I'm sorry to talk assessed. I don't have the history. Let me see on the appraised. So and then we went to 426 and 21. And now we dropped it a little bit to 422,030. So it looks like Paula went back out to do a review. And she did some right. So we had for 21, we had an unfinished basement that became finished. And then in 22, she did some a minor sketch correction that I don't have the detail on. So there was a change to the property between 20 and 21. They had a building permit that was completed.
Okay.
Right, so if you look at the vision field card, that summary card, you can see the appraised went from 580,300 to 608,700 between the 2020 grand list and the 2021 grand list. So it added 28,400 to her appraised value.
However, it was
It looks like she's just trying to get to her, she paid 585.
Right.
And the appraised value that she's trying to get to is 580.
Yeah, it seems like that if you look at the timing, it might have been the previous owner who did the finished basement. So if they paid 585 in 421, I'm inclined to go with that as opposed to the 603,042, which would be the new appraised amount.
I agree.
But is the question on how you look at the improvements that happened?
No, I
that
think
question going. That's what's been confusing. We've been trying to value the property, or we've disagreed on how you value the property, right? As of October 2020, is it the condition it was in October 2020, or the condition it was in October 2021? When you're trying to figure out, how to value the property, this might not be a good example because it's got a sale in the middle of it, but.
Well, it's absolutely 2021. You have to value the improvements that existed on October 1st of 21. You're using a valuation date of October 1 of 20, but you have to look at all the improvements that existed as of the date that's being appealed, which is right now 2021. If you look at an extreme example, look at a new construction. If you didn't consider the new construction, then you'd be valuing vacant land for 5 years.
I
So-
don't think that's what the real question is. I
Okay.
understand that there's been improvements. And you changed the value in 2021 because of improvements. I'm not looking at that. I think the bigger question that keeps coming up, and we had an appraiser kind of tell us a similar thing, was, so I buy the house. Let me say, I didn't even buy the house. I have the house. Okay. And I look at the taxes and I'm like, this is too much. These taxes shouldn't be this high. This house isn't worth it. So then I say, okay, I'll get an appraisal. So the appraiser comes in and all we ever say is the value as of October 1st, 2020, because that's when the reval finished. Right. So now they come and they say, okay, well, they do an appraisal based on those dates. Then we find out that there's a pool on the property sometime in 2021, but it wasn't there in 2020. So how could you say you have to include that when the valuation date was 2020 and that wasn't on the property?
I
Because
think
if,
it's just
because if it was an
what-
entirely new house, would you ignore the, but it's no different. A component is no different than the whole thing. You absolutely have to include that. I sent you the statute. It's 1253A.
Well,
Yeah, I
then,
want to go back to what the BAA instructions are to
Right.
the homeowner.
yeah,
Right?
problem.
Let's go
That's
back
what
to
I was
that. It
sending the
doesn't say
email.
anything about it. So,
But in this case, even though you valued the improvements to this property, which was the finished basement, I get that. But if we go back to the fact that they paid $585 for this house in April of 21, I think that's where the appraised amount should be. That's what they paid for it. That's what the market said it was worth.
Yeah, I mean, what we've been doing, I've said this before, is in these cases when homeowners have a sale of their own property or damn, clone of it, and they're also showing us other appraised values as comps, appraised values, we've been tending to like weigh both. So to me, in this case, this is glaring, as most sales are, of the property. So unless there's some insane discrepancy between these other comps that she's giving us and this number, then I would, be inclined to vote for this number as well. It's only 5,000 off of what she's looking for.
I think she is best.
But I think Judy's,
not-
let's go back to Judy's comment, which I think is well taken. We talked about this already. The instructions to the public do not say that.
Well,
And
that's
then
the
they come in
email
here-
I sent.
They come in here with the wrong comps because then we hear people saying, oh, but it's the value of 2021. Well, you didn't tell them that. So they came in here with all the information from 2020 because that's what you told them to do. So now what?
You're confusing valuation date with improvements. You still have to value those improvements that happened, say, during 21 as of October 1 of 20, but you still have to include anything that's changed to the property. So you're confusing valuation date, which is always going to be October 1 of 20, with improvements that have
But that's
made
not
changes to the property.
communicated to the, I
That's
mean,
not-
I went all the way on the helpful hints and I pretended to be, an appellant, clicked on the helpful hints and then clicked on to another link. And I sent that to everybody. I showed it verbatim what is written on there. And it just says it's two things. It's what the appraised value is during that date. And I forget what the other one was. I think it's comps. So
But I
Right,
think
so
we're supposed
so
to
I'll go
look at
back
the
to-
property as it sits and
we don't
say,
talk about improvements in the instructions.
but I
Okay,
think,
go ahead.
but I
But
think
they're
we're supposed to look
appealing
at the property as
2021.
it exists and then say, this is what it would have sold for in the valuation period, not what it looked like in the valuation period. Because it cuts
Right.
both ways. If someone had a pool and then filled it in, and then you say, no, sorry, but in 2020 you had it, so you're paying taxes on that for 5 years, we'd be through the roof over that. So you just has to be consistent, I think. It's as it is now, what it was worth in that market. If it had existed now in that market, I think that's the job.
It's a good point. I like that. I don't know why we didn't think.
Right.
Thank you.
So if the person put a pool on and it was on the grand list of October 2021, then the appraisal should include the pool. And it should be looking
Because-
at properties that sold in 2020 with a pool or adjusting it forward and back. That's why I feel like that Rock Hill one was confusing for us because the pool wasn't on the appraisal, and the finished basement wasn't
Right.
on there, and it should have 2021.
And I
Right,
reached
she
out,
should
But
include
just
it.
I reached
remember,
out to the appraiser and she said
what they
that's
should
not what
be,
they do.
And
what
by
they
the way-
should be, what they should be appealing is the 2021 assessment. So if there's been changes to the property as of 21, they would be on that assessment that they're appealing. They're not appealing their 2020 assessment.
I'm not too worried about Ross Hill Road because let me tell you, that pool, if that pool exists, I would be totally surprised because you can see that it's not really there. And I don't know why that is. I don't know what they did. They have a CO for it, but I don't understand because it looks like somebody's digging a garden, not a pool. I don't understand. I don't know what is there. I guess I could drive by it again, but that's what it looks like.
There's no pool on Roselle. That was just an example.
Yeah, no, but
Ro-
that was a thorn
Hill.
one.
Ross Hill.
Yeah, Russell was a thorn in
We
some
have-
people.
But it
This
didn't
goes back
include-
to, we need to, when we're finished with this, if we have the stomach, I think we would like to have a subcommittee or some sort of, discussion on how to communicate for the next appeal period better to the public and to the appraisers who are coming in droves so that we don't have these wasted time arguments again.
Yeah, I think you're right. If we can do that, that would be good. And I don't really feel too bad if we might have not said, we might have said, well, with that one, maybe it should have been. I don't think it should have been, but even if we said it, I look at it this way, like I look at it Katie's way. We have issues with what we believe are the wrong neighborhoods, the wrong site codes and all that stuff. And these people are going to be stuck with that for 5 years. So 5 years are going to be overpaying. So if somebody's underpaying because we screwed up something with a pool, I'm not too worried about it.
All right, so let's vote on this.
Okay,
All right, good night.
thanks,
Good
Ross.
night.
So,
Okay,
Good night.
that was yours, Katie. So go ahead.
Yeah, so I don't have a calculator, but their requested value is the assessed. So can someone divide it by 70 to give me the total? They're requesting to go to 407,740. Can someone just divide that by 0.7 and tell me what?
Yeah, 40. I get 582, 485.
Okay, are we
Round
good
that
with
up.
that?
numbers. So round that up to 500 because you can't do the 80s. It has to
Okay.
be, I would change your ask amount to 582. What'd I say? 500.
500.
Okay, so are we good
Yeah.
with 582, 500? Let's vote.
I'm not sure. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not clear on why it can't be what we wanted it to be.
It's $5.
Like, I think that has to end. It has to be like a round number at the end. It can't be a
Oh, just like the IRS. Okay. Let's vote. Okay.
all those in favor.
It's fine.
I can't tell if it's unanimous or not.
Yes, no, it is. Yes.
It is unanimous. Motion passes. The appeal granted at 582. 500 it was
Yes.
unanimously. Okay. It is 6:56. Is it too early to take a break, or do you want to go longer, or do you want to take a break now and then we just have to go through the appeals? Hello?
I don't care.
I don't care either.
How many more do we have to do?
Quite a few. 1, 2. We did yours. 1, 2, 3. About 16 or 15. Oof.
Well, we wasted
and I
2
need-
hours clarifying minutes.
Yeah, I
It's
need
so
to leave
fast.
at about 7. So if you take a break now, I'll be off. So
You have to. Oh, you have to leave
It's
at
fine.
7. Right?
I have a meeting at 7:30 that I need to get to. Yeah.
How
All
many
right. So
here, by the way?
What's
What?
that?
Oh, Kathy, how many people are actually here? How many members?
6.
Okay.
Okay, that's good. I couldn't remember.
Well, why don't we
Otherwise,
do
we
one
won't.
more to include Kathleen and then she
All right,
can
let's
go.
do that. And then we'll take a break. Okay, let's go.
If you can do it in
Kathleen,
10 minutes,
what?
got 3 minutes.
you got to do it in 10 minutes.
Well, I just got to ask you something. Did you have number 50? What number is that? Do you have one left? No, that was the Recedo property. So you're okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, you just pick
we're
your
good.
Somebody pick a quick one, like a.
I
an
can
easy
do a quick one. I've got a quick one.
Okay, do
Okay.
it.
This is appeal number 58.
Number
I
50.
make a motion to grant this appeal. He actually, we talked about it in the meeting, and he changed the request to $500. It's a personal property. So I make a motion that we
Okay.
grant this appeal to the requested value of $500. Second?
Second, and all in,
No. We're not ready for that yet. So this is a personal property. This guy is a really nice guy. He does educational tutoring, and he just started
Oh, Steve.
renting the space. Yeah. And he just started renting the space, and he just basically, same as everybody else, he just didn't fill out a personal property. And so the town put it at 5,000, but he, all that he has in the room are tables and chairs, and he has one printer, and it's two tables, a conference table, 7 foldable chairs, and one printer that he paid $200 and something for. So this is the one that I sent you guys the email or asked you to include. He had sent me, he went to the town, he filed, everything seemed in order, and he's just, just basically asking that it just reflect the actual value, which is $500.
okay.
No penalty involved or anything, right? He
I don't-
filed on time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think so. Yeah.
The issue again, Katie, is going to be
Yeah.
the thing that kept tripping me, which is there's 3 numbers. One is the appraised, one is the depreciated value, and the other is the assessed value. So it just needs to be what you think it was in his mind when he said 500. I'm
500
guessing.
500 is appraised.
Okay, so
So the cost. So
If he-
the way that Ross did it was he took 95%. They would take 95% of 500. I think. You know what? I think it'd be easier if you just called that the depreciated value.
All right.
Yeah. And take so take 70%. Was that 350? I'm gonna do my math. 500 times 0.7. Yeah, 350. So just if we're gonna agree to this, I would say we're trying to grant a motion for the assessed value to be 350. I guess not including the penalty.
Okay. I don't know that there is a penalty on this one, but okay, I'm good with that. We ready to vote?
ready to vote.
All those in favor? Okay, looks unanimous.
Okay, unanimous.
Done. Good one.
Motion passes, appeal granted, for a value of $350, and it's unanimous. Okay,
Assessed.
Kathleen is done now, or she's,
Yep, I guess she just left.
All right, Kathleen, thank you.
It's
Thank
still
you.
there.
Thank you. Kathy, one thing, the bridge stopped working. I couldn't hear you guys anymore, so I don't know that the public's on the bridge, but I ended up dialing in. That's why you see a call-in user 3 for me, because you guys just went silent. That was about an hour ago. Because I couldn't hear you and you guys were just going ahead, so I called the WebEx number. So now I'm in on the WebEx, but you might want to check the bridge and see if it's working. I don't know why there was no audio.
Okay.
I don't know. I can call it. I've got another couple minutes. Why don't I call? I'm going to hang up now. I'll call it back and see if I can hear you. If you just want to stay on, everybody else takes a break or whatever.
Okay.
who else can take a break?
And
We'll
I'll
come back
text.
7:17.
Okay, I'm
Yeah.
gonna stop the recording now, okay?
Okay, stop the recording, and
Right.
let's see if Kathleen can get in or she can hear us.
Thank you.
List. My dinner is sitting on it.
You want me to just go? I've got
See the
like
list.
I just don't want to miss any because I don't want to have to come back again. I'm trying to.
Recording has started.
All right, so Katie, you had a bunch to do.
Yeah.
Oh, here, got it. Okay. All right. So Katie has. Okay, so what's your next one, Katie?
All right, so my next appeal is number 31. I make a motion that we grant the requested value to $635,000.
Okay.
Is there a second? Second. Okay, so this is appeal 32. I don't know what I said.
31. I was just checking.
Okay, I apologize. This is appeal number 32. The property address is 66 Borowski Road. The property owner, Mr. Kwok, came and presented with his son. this one I honestly can't explain. They bought the house a long time ago. They did some work to it in 2016, like they finished the attic, and I think they did some like addition in the second floor in 2016, and the appraisal jumped from in 19 from 564,900 to now 841. They've
Oh
done
my God.
nothing since 16. And I think I have this thing in front of me. I don't know. Did he put? I think he put in comps. Oh, they did an appraisal because they were going to refinance this year. So he had an appraisal put in, and the appraisal, the proposed value, is exactly what he's asking for. Let me find the exact page for you guys. Where do they put it, on the front page or the last page?
Sometimes it could be either place.
Sometimes it's on the front.
Let's go to the front. I just saw it 2 seconds ago.
Well, the front page isn't there, I don't think.
Yeah, so they did. The appraisal was done in January of 21 for a refinance, and I don't know where the heck it is, but I saw it. God. Okay, yeah. So he
Page 11.
yeah, 635 even
635, yeah, page 11.
on the So I mean, I don't really think this is a difficult one for me. It's pretty straightforward. He's right off the Blackrock Turnpike. It seems high compared to the comps and the appraisal done for the refinance. I can't in any way understand how it, even after it had done those improvements and those would have been qualified earlier, how it would have jumped. What I mean, almost $300,000. That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at any rate, what do you? I don't know. I'm ready to vote if you guys want to talk about it more.
I don't need to say anything. I'm good.
All right.
Okay.
All those in favor? Okay. Easy peasy.
Opposed? Was it unanimous? Because I'm not seeing everybody.
Yeah.
Okay, motion passes. Still granted to the appraised value unanimously. Next.
Okay. Next is appeal number 34. Okay, so I make a motion that we grant the appeal to the requested value of $948,000. Second?
Second.
Okay. So this is appeal number 34. The property address is 322 Blackrock Turnpike. This is I think it's that like pianos building over there by like
Used to be
like
Frost.
BJ's, that area.
Oh, yeah. I know which one you mean.
Staples, right across from Staples. And I have in my notes that they felt that it was a big jump from the previous appraisal / valuation year, and using the income approach based appraisal, where they calculated about $9,000 a month in rent, and then they do a 10% fluctuation for vacancy and a 10% fluctuation for expense that gets them to the 948. Let me just pull it up because I don't remember how I felt about this one. 34. I mean, I know commercials are always so tricky, right? Because you got to try to show maybe what others are moving for, what others are renting for. I don't think he's supplied any of that. He didn't, but they just did, just a simple spreadsheet where they just broke down what they estimate basically they'd be able to. I don't even know if he said it's what he's currently getting for rent or what they anticipate being able to charge for rent, but I don't know. Let me see where they were before. What the change is.
What's it being used for now?
I'm pretty sure it's that building that it's like the piano stores in there.
Still is? It used to, but is it still?
maybe not.
Yeah, so I drove by there today or yesterday, and I remember that because I knew Paul Fry, who used to own the piano store beforehand. So it's across the street from Sims, where Sims
Yeah.
used to be.
Yep.
Yeah, over there.
So it's still a piano store?
Yeah. As of like the other day, I just looked at it. I just, unless they were closed and closed for shop, and you can't even tell, but it's still a piano. Still a piano place.
So for whatever it's worth, the town had it at 113, and before the reval, it was at 843, and they're asking to go to 948. So they are acknowledging an increase. I mean, that's like $300,000
I
increase.
do have a thought on this, is that we don't have a rent roll. I mean, they're just basically telling us what they,
Correct.
and that bothers me a little bit, that I
Yeah.
don't actually see. I don't see any evidence of it. All I see is, all it looks like to me is an estimate.
Right.
Where does it say that this is exactly what they pay? Does it say that anywhere?
No, let me go through it one more time. And I don't have it that they acknowledged it to me directly either.
It says potential. They can see, okay, but they didn't say what's going on there now. Why don't we just Google it to make sure they're actually still in business?
Yeah, let me do it.
I'm gonna do it.
I agree with Judy. I'd like to know those numbers as well. But the one thing that sticks out in my mind that bothers me a little bit is during the evaluation period, we had COVID. Commercial stuff was way down.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't understand why the town raised it up that high during a time.
Mm-hmm.
Businesses were going out of business, but businesses were closing. People were laying people off. It wasn't so easy as it is, when we don't have a COVID issue.
I agree.
Why there's that much of a difference during that period.
You know what it is?
Tomorrow at 10 a.m., by the way. They would, as per Google. So.
What was that, Judy?
They will open tomorrow again at 10 a.m. They're closed for the night, but they'll open
You know what it
tomorrow at
is?
10 a.m.
I think the company that, like the people that own it, I think operate the piano company.
Yeah,
It's the same name.
It's Faust Piano. Yeah.
So they probably can't say they're charging that in rent because they're not. But it's true. I mean, they're willing to concede and come up from where they were before the reval year.
Yeah,
but
exactly. I think it's very fair.
All right, good. All right, well, let's vote. All those in favor?
I see 3 hands. I'm assuming more. Oh,
That's
it's
all.
5, unanimous. Okay, the motion passes. Appeal is granted as requested unanimously. Next.
Is appeal number 35.
Mhm.
I make a motion that we grant the appeal to the requested value of $416,000.
Second.
Okay. This is appeal 35. It is 138 Ruane Street. The town has the property valued at $480,600, and the requested reduction is to $416,000. They purchased this property in September for $416,000. They had an appraisal done in the summer of 2021 that came in at $416,000. They're just asking to be reduced to that number, and they have comps to support the figure.
Let's see which house this is.
All the comps were sold in the reval year.
Mine
Mine are so
appraisal, the guy
straightforward.
bought the house for
Yeah.
416. What is there more to talk about?
Yeah,
know.
this is a piece of garbage.
Well,
yeah,
we just
I mean,
have
bought it.
to
Yeah.
make sure.
Oh yeah. 416, 100% all day long.
Okay.
Perfect. Okay, let's
Any more
vote.
discussion? Let's vote. All in favor of granting the appeal as requested, please raise your hand. No, I see no. Is it unanimous? Because, oh, wait, let's see. Katie, is your pull up? There we go.
Yep.
Okay. Is it unanimous? Because I can only see 3 people.
Yes.
Yes.
The motion passes. The appeal is granted as requested by unanimously. Next.
Okay, the next is appeal number 41. I make a motion that we grant the appeal to the requested value of $635,000.
Second.
Okay, this is appeal 49. The property address is 781 Oldfield Road. The owner is James Holiday. The town has the valuation at $715,300. This appellant is requesting to be reduced to $635,000. It's sold. They had it appraised in October of 2020 for the purchase in December of 2020. They're asking that it be reduced to the sale price in an arm's length transaction of $635,000. And they added this, even though I didn't think they needed to, but they added that it's worth noting that a good portion of the land is marshlands, protected wetlands, etc. Can't develop on it. But again, this was just a pretty straightforward. They're their own best comp. They bought it. I mean, you couldn't have asked for it. The appraisal was done in October of 2020.
All those in favor?
Wait, I think,
2 family?
is this the side by side or is this the one I sold front to back? I'm just curious.
No, it's not. It's not the one you sold front to back.
Okay, so it's the side by side.
Yeah, but it's got one door in the front, so it looks like a single family, but it's not. It's a
Oh, this is an older one.
yeah. This is the right.
Ooh. Wow.
From the front, it looks like a one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that. So I'm just curious, he's talking about one of his units in the duplex.
Well, I mean, the application is 781 to 783, but so I imagine.
Yeah, I'm confused if he's, I guess we could look it up. It says the home was sold 2 months after the assessment, 12/20.
Right.
12/20.
But that was for 635, and that was 781 for 635.
You're suggesting that it was only one unit sold for $635,000?
Well, no, is that what he's saying? What?
Let's look it up.
What's the appeal number on this again?
The appeal number is 49. 49.
48.
Did you say he has an appraisal?
Yeah, but he must have,
781.
because it's not attached to the the
Okay.
town would have needed to scan it in. Hang on, but I don't see that it's attached here.
Oh, Durats.
Yeah, no.
Oldfield.
So
Close.
yeah, I mean, so,
What was
Well,
it?
at any rate, I mean, the town's how do I say this? Like their form is just addressing 781. So then we should just address 781.
Yeah, it's weird that he put both of those on there.
That was his handwritten part, but the town is
You
just
said it
addressing
was you said it was an arm's length, so forget it. It's not on MLS. Okay.
well, no.
it.
Well,
Should
7
be.
781 is on MLS.
Yeah. And it went for 635, right?
Right.
All right,
In
so
December of 2020.
yeah.
Huh, I don't see it. I don't know where I'm looking.
Well, if you look at the field cars, 2,400 square feet, right?
Yeah.
So if it's the whole building, you're saying that's 4,800 square feet? I don't think so. I think that is correct.
Yeah.
And it's
So is he
interesting.
trying to get to what he paid?
Just trying to get to what he paid.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
All right.
good,
2
good
months
for
after.
us.
So all those in favor? All right, that's unanimous.
Okay. The motion passes to the requested value unanimously. Next.
This is appeal number 56. I make a motion that we approve the requested reduction to $518,000.
Second.
Okay. Appeal 56 is property address 289 South Pine Creek Road. Town has the value property at $592,600. The requested reduction amount is $518,000. Okay,
Another
right.
two
So this
family.
is, yeah. So this is, if you look in the like agenda that the town has, and you can see all the things she put in. This is the 2-family house. Then you guys would know. She said she showed pictures that they're just doing developing pretty much on all sides of her. So what once was, maybe a little more private and had trees and a little bit of a view and a little, more serene, is now gigantic houses, like boxing her little house in. And it's hard for her to get a tenant for the second floor. The house needs work. She brought in pictures of the roof, the driveway, the garage, the doors. The decking is rotting. The front porch is rotting. She's had health problems and hasn't worked since COVID. I know that doesn't matter, but it's worth, just knowing. She has lost renters due to the new developments that are being built around her, and her valuation continues to rise. I guess it's a 3-story house that's going up on the left and the right of her, and so it feels like her unit feels like it's in a fishbowl. It was built in 1859. There are larger, newer comps that are sold for less than the appraised value of the subject, and she hasn't done anything regarding since 97.
I saw the house next door to her. That's I wouldn't say that's a 3-story house going up, but they've been working on that for well over a year. So yeah, there's been a lot of construction on that property. It's taken them forever. Yeah.
She just, I
and
don't know.
then
She showed pictures, and it felt, maybe it's not a full 3 stories of housing, but it felt just what's there. Just, I mean, it's like if she was on the second floor, she's looking into their like kitchen.
well, it's elevated. It's
Yeah.
much higher than her property, but that was a teeny tiny little house, less than 1,000 square feet when they started. So they did put an addition, but it's 2 floors, not 3 floors. Yeah.
So we go back to when there's, a group of appraised neighboring comps. Are there any very glaring solds that could help us, understand? Because I'm just curious, because I'd like to not leave that out.
Yeah.
If there are any.
So do you guys think this is a good comp? She has 28 Riverside Drive. That's sold for, or was it on the market?
Riverside? Yeah, actually Riverside is kind of similar to
Right.
something.
Yeah.
That sold for $473 in October of the reval year. She's looking to go to $518.
Was it a duplex? Hers is a multifamily, right?
Yeah, is the comp not? I thought it was.
Well,
I don't know. Looking.
Hers wasn't built as a duplex. Hers was built as a single family and then converted somehow to make that small rental upstairs.
Okay.
So I wouldn't compare this to that property we just looked at on Oldfield. That was built specifically as a 2-family.
Okay, so she's not referring to one piece of a duplex. She's referring to the actual whole.
Correct.
Let me look at
Okay.
Riverside. Hold on a second. I want to know which one.
Okay, yeah, she included it. Closed in October 2020. Perfect. 4 bedrooms, 2,100 square feet. How does that compare to hers?
I think, hang on. It's larger. Everything she put in is newer and larger.
Well, this one was built in 1963.
No, but this is, I don't know. I mean, she should be lower than that because this one sold for $473, and this is one of those big 2 families that it's closer to Fairfield Avenue on that side of Riverside, in that first block there.
Okay.
I mean, each one of those floors is like over 1,000 square feet, a little over 1,000 square feet. So that's a big, I mean, I think she should be even lower than that. What is she asking to go to?
She's asking to go to 518.
Oh,
Oh. What's the lot size?
Her
She's-
lot is
it's two.
14,000 square feet, so whatever that works out to be.
Does her field card show wetlands?
She says there are wetlands that are useless, but let me look at the field card.
I mean, it should.
Let me see.
Riverside acreage was 1/4 of an acre. What is the number again? I always forget. 50. Oh my God.
Yeah, 56 is the appeal. The address is 289.
No, I meant the square footage per acre. What is it? 56.
Oh.
Ladies, 53, 650.
560. It's
What?
328 acres on that property.
Oh, okay. All right, that's
43,560.
I mean, I will say this, I do feel for her because she had the teeniest, tiniest little house next to her, and now it's, like 4 times as big.
Yeah.
She's, as you can see from those views, she's staring at, the side of it. Whereas she used to have beautiful trees there and that were planted by the previous owner.
I feel like, I mean, just based on the information, I feel pretty good about the
Okay.
518.
Yeah, I mean, I thought she could have got even lower, but so, I mean, if she
Right.
go to 518, I say give it to her.
Yeah.
All right. So all those in favor? Okay, unanimous. That's 56. Oh, guys, I'm almost done.
Mhm.
All right, let's do number 84. Okay. Appeal number 84. Oh yeah. Is I make a motion that we grant appeal 84 to the requested value of $1,530,425.
Oh, this quarter horse, how fun.
Yeah. Is there a
Mm.
second?
Second.
Second.
Okay. Okay,
was Karen.
so appeal 83 is 173 Quarter Horse Lane. Town has the property valued at $1,816,800. Requested reduction is to $1,530,425.
I hate when they do dollar per square foot in Greenfield.
Yeah, I know, because it doesn't, it's important to note what I have down right off the bat in my, they were very nice people, I will say, but I guess they had come in last year. I don't know if they had done something different in terms of what their argument is. Not that that matters, but so they came back again, and they put a good amount of work into this. I told them, point blank, that having purchased it in March of 21 for 1.7 isn't going to do them a ton of favors. Just in terms of, I said it's not going to be a deal breaker, but it is something that we're going to consider. 'Cause
Yeah.
at some point, you thought it was worth
glaring.
1.7. Which
Yep.
tells me it's not worth the 1.8 that the town says it is, but I don't know
Yep.
that it's worth the 1.5 they want either.
Yep.
Let me see what I have. They
I'm
did the
just-
market.
I know this house, I've rented it a couple of times to, families that came in from overseas, and back then it needed a lot of updating, but let me just look. It looks like they did do something. They definitely improved the kitchen. But I mean, even
Oh, whoa, wait, their appeal was denied last time. They're point number 2, they're referencing the minutes. They listened to it. Did you want to talk about that, Katie?
I'm sorry, something happened to my camera, so I lost you guys for a minute there. I heard Helene, you said it needed a lot of work when you had it rented. That's all I heard.
but it looks like they have done some things. What are they saying about the appeal last
It
time?
says additionally, the minutes of the board meeting in 2021 where our appeal was denied included a debated question from a board member who speculated that this was potentially not an arm's length transaction. He had
They
no
were
evidence
upset
to
about that.
support this, blah, blah, blah. This property was on the market for more than 10 years and
Oh,
eventually
yeah.
sold only when the offering price was considerably reduced.
Yep.
The
And that's
question
why they
itself
kept-
inherently
they kept
indicates the
renting it.
realization. I mean,
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah, you look at that property history and you'll see.
They bought this in March 2020.
21.
yeah, I mean, my indication is to go to 1725, their purchase price, but
Mine too.
let's go off that to see if we can see if there's any argument to go lower based on
Because
what,
it would have been less in 2020.
yeah.
Right.
And we didn't
I
get to
mean,
the,
I just don't love using their first one. I can't use dollar per square foot. There's just,
I don't either.
we can't
no,
do, we have to look at new construction if we're gonna do dollar. This kind of
Mhm.
stuff doesn't work in Greenfield Hill. What else do they have? Anything else? Did they list? Do they have a table showing them? Yeah, they do. Page 4 or 5. Let's look. They got a nice table for us. Okay. They got a bunch of comps, sale price, average price. And what number is theirs, Katie? 170? Is that
There-
theirs?
Theirs is
Oh, no.
173.
173. Okay. What's their ratio? Oh, the ratio is the percent of sale value to appraised value.
I'm inclined for their purchase price, and I'm not really inclined to do anything different for them. That property was rented. I mean, you can't really say it's been on the market. They rented it for a number of years beforehand. I'd go with a 1725.
Yeah, I mean, the uptick did take place a little bit, after that price is not in the 2020, 2019 reval though. So I might argue going a little bit lower, to be honest.
Looking at what the difference.
Definitely not 1.5.
No.
They do have I mean, quite honestly, why don't we just look at the two houses on Quarter House that they use as their comps? Jesus Christ, one sold in April of 2021 for $2,950,000 and it's appraised at 1.7. Steal.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Those guys are,
Wow.
yeah. And then they've got another one on Quarter House, which sold in
What?
19 for $1,600,000 and it's appraised at $1,500,000. Those are the only two on Quarter House.
Of course.
did they mention that theirs was distressed because it had been rented for 10 years?
No, they didn't say anything about that.
Okay. Yeah, we can't go by square footage. You just can't.
No. I can't even use that one on Quarter House with the appraised value is so wackadoodle off. They're lucky. I hope they just
I
sit
mean,
tight and shut up.
Even if we just split the difference between the 1725 that they paid and what they're asking, I think we come out to like 1627,
Okay.
1628.
Just as a percentage, I'm just 1628. 1628 divided by what's the sale price? 170.
1725.
725.
So that's 94%. So according to them, the ratio is, then they've used over looks like about 15. The ratio is 85%. So there's still, that number would still make them above their analysis of the ratio. So we're not over giving, I guess is my point.
Mhm.
Yeah, so 1628.
Okay.
162.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean,
I can live with that.
That's
we
kind of
can't
like,
we can't go down to 1.5. We just
No, we
can't.
can't. No.
oh, and that's kind of like sort of in between the two quarter horse.
And if you look at page 4, you look how many of these homes on Treasure, Fence Row, Sturgis, that's not even in Greenfield Hill, but There are some homes that are trading or that the town has appraised at like 50%, 62%
Yeah.
sold.
Okay, so
Yeah. We can't
so
get
what
there.
did we say? 1-6 what?
1628.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
That's
So
being generous, I feel.
all those in
You want to make
favor?
a motion to amend?
Yeah, make a
Katie's
motion
going
to amend the requested reduction amount to 1628.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Okay, Judy?
I'm going to abstain from this one.
Okay,
So the motion carries, granted in part to 1-6 what?
2-8.
great.
Wait, by 4 in favor, one abstaining, and the abstention was Judy Zablek.
Yes. Now,
Next.
guys, I have to make one phone call. I'm going to jump off for 1 second and then I'll be right back on if somebody has another case to do, if that's all right.
We have to wait for you because we wouldn't have a quorum. We have to have
Oh,
5.
shit.
Go ahead. We'll take a
Okay.
little break.
I'm sorry, 1 minute. Give me 1 minute.
Well, go ahead. We're going fast. We've got plenty of time.
Oh, wait. No, never mind. I just gotta, never mind. I don't need to. I just got the all clear.
Okay.
Okay, hang on. Okay. Sorry, I'm doing this on my phone. Okay, so let's do appeal number 115. This is going to be interesting because we have to make a motion in the positive, but this person did not put a requested dollar amount. And so procedurally speaking, I believe we have to deny this appeal. Additionally, there really wasn't any, there was no evidence at all at any rate. So I'm not sure how I would even make this motion.
Katie, I didn't hear the number.
There isn't one. They didn't provide one. So procedurally speaking,
The appeal number.
appeal number 115. And so just a couple things. Number one, I don't believe we're allowed to move forward on an appeal where there's no requested value. And then number two, there really wasn't any evidence at all supplied. I feel for them, and I think that this is more of an income situation than a valuation issue. And so I did ask the assessor's office to do everything they can in terms of providing information to this taxpayer on what programs might be available through the town to make a reduction to taxes. But this isn't really something for this board, and there was no requested value. So I don't even know how to make a motion here since we only are permitted to do them in the affirmative.
I think you have to make a motion in the affirmative. It gets second, and then we vote, and we all vote. If everybody's in agreement with that, we all vote. We all vote that we're opposed to
Okay.
grant. That's what we have to do.
Okay, and then I'll make a motion that we grant an appeal to a reduced value of $312,000.
Second.
Okay, so let's vote. All those in favor?
Wait, that's what it said.
Opposed?
Wait,
I thought it was 219 for.
yeah, I see 219.
I have.
That's what she has, the town's value. That's her assessed. She didn't put a requested value for herself.
Okay.
Oh. So I think we should, to be consistent, let's state the appraised value, right?
Yeah,
Right.
so the appraised value is $313,500.
Gotcha.
All right. All in favor.
And then this way it preserves her opportunity to come back next
Come
year.
back.
That was a
So-
good idea, Katie.
Yeah.
Okay.
So all those opposed? Okay.
Okay. So I only see 3 hands when I look. So How many-
It was everybody.
so it's unanimous. The motion fails unanimously.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, my
What's
last
next?
one.
Was that your last one? You got another?
No,
one?
this is now.
Okay, go ahead.
This is appeal number 120. I make a motion that we grant the appraised value to $80,000.
Number 120.
Appeal number 120. Is there a second?
Second.
This is a personal property for the business located at 2173 Blackrock Turnpike. It is an Elements massage
Oh, I had this guy too with Elements Massage.
You did?
I wonder what kind of massages are going on. Yes, I had enough. Yeah. Yeah,
Well,
I did. And he did the same thing.
Was
he
it the
has
same?
maybe his
I'm
two.
just letting you know, we denied it because I couldn't make, this was the one where I said I couldn't make heads or tails of where he came up with the 80,000 based on his, this is weird.
He said we did this over the phone. He told me the 80,000 was just a number he came up with, but he has since filed and should be attached. He had his accountant actually do it. This was one of those, they didn't file anything. So the town went ahead and set a number. And then it should be attached to this, where his accountant did the fixed asset schedule and the number.
Yeah.
What did it come out to be?
I'm going to go look up mine because this looks like the exact, try to find 80,000 in that whole thing.
It's not. He said, that was just something I thought when I was filling this out. But in the interim, he had well, it's better than, because had he not put anything down, we would have had to deny him. So he's had the personal property declaration done, and the total assessment comes out to be the $100,000 number on line 24B.
Carol, did he say he had a flood? I don't remember that.
Yeah, this was what this was someone, I already had notes on this, and then he didn't make that visit, so then he did a phone call with me on like that next week. So I have someone's notes here. I don't know whose handwriting this is.
It must be me. It must be me. Why? We've already denied him. I'm sorry to say.
Oh, you already heard appeal number 120?
Yeah, I'm just looking. He's not on the list of what we had left.
Oh, see, you're right. I'm looking at your notes. Carol, you were supposed to have him on Tuesday, March 8th, and then he was a phone call with me on March 18th. They said he couldn't make the in person.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That was probably the one that I did a call in. I had one call in.
Okay. So did I. All right. Then never mind. We're done. Or I'm
Let
done.
me look. 120. Yeah. I spoke to him at 11 o'clock on the 8th. When did you talk to him?
On March 18th at 10:20. He called in, and his wife's a doctor.
Nope, he was an in-person. My call-in was someone else.
Oh, that's so weird.
I'm not making this up. And we denied it because as I presented to the board,
it's honestly, it's not that far off because the town only had it at 109 and his accountant came in at 100 assessed. So I don't know what the town.
It's not, and I actually already spoke to Ross about it, and it wasn't a big difference anyway. And so we just said, just deny it and try to figure it out. I mean, seriously, it's not worth discussing again.
Okay.
Yep.
Katie, you're done. Congratulations. Great job, Katie. Thank you.
Oh, sure. No problem.
Judy, I believe you have a few left.
I do. I've been waiting to get to them. I get tired. When we get closer to 9 o'clock, I get like really tired. FYI. So, all right, let's do appeal number 8.
Okay.
Let me just pull that up. I'm getting there.
Take your time.
All right, I make a motion that we grant appeal number 8. The property owner's name is Maria Sulak. The property is located at 222 Melville Drive. And the town's value is $177,730. Her opinion of market value is $130, and I think we're talking assessment here. So we'll have to convert. She did bring 3 comparables. And remember, okay, she's on Melville. She brought a comparable over at Campfield, one on Knapp's Park and one on Longview. All pretty reasonable as far as comparables and comparable areas. So Bear with me.
Please make a motion and second when you get a chance.
Did I make the motion to grant it? I mean, don't have a second.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Paula.
You're welcome. Sorry.
Anybody want to do the, let me do the math on this. So the, per property, if you look at it, as far as Campfield is, because like I said, if you take these and you put it to Knapp's Park and Longview, the comparables that she gave were reasonable. So here's one thing, and she did bring, let's see, let me see, I printed something out. The 10 Campfield is a half duplex, and that had an additional half bath. The one in Knapp's Park had an extra half bath. It's larger by 300 square feet. It has an additional bedroom. Longview has an extra half bath. It's 150 square feet more. So these I thought were very reasonable comps. And let me just get the appraised value here.
She's asking to go to, the appraised value will be 253,900. She's asking to go to 130, 185, 714. That seems low.
She's asking to go to 130.
Assessed value.
Right.
Right, so 130 divided by 0.7 is 185,714. So the other comps that she brought were like 210, 220, but they're a little bit larger. That's what she brought.
With extra baths, some of them.
With extra bath and larger. So
Well,
that's why.
Campfield, that's half of a duplex. 10 Campfield, looks like.
Yeah. And these are all half duplex.
Is she a half duplex?
That's a very small, it's a half duplex. That's what she's got.
Oh, okay.
And hers is really narrow. Look at it, it's 13 feet.
Oh, yeah. 13 feet wide.
Okay, so, think about that.
806. Yeah, that's like the size of a room. Yeah.
Yeah. So more like almost like a railroad style.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Let's go back.
personally, I made notes. I personally thought she was right on target. I had no issue with what she had there. She doesn't have any improvements in there. It's not all fancy and gussied up, and I thought she was fine. All right, what other comments?
10 Campfield has the same square footage basically at 210. Wow, these are tiny. And yeah, the 220 on that, there's a bigger unit. And then 950 for well, that's Longview, that's a different neighborhood. Anything else? I don't know, 185 seems a little low, but I could see bringing her to 200. But
We had a bunch of half duplexes already.
this one's really small though.
Yeah.
It's really small, and and if you look at it on a per square footage basis and you look at the other ones, the smaller is going to be worth a lot less than the larger one because it's tight. It's really, really tight. It's only 13 feet wide.
Yeah, same as Campfield was like that too. The ones that I think maybe you're talking about, Paulette, are the ones
On
over
Beacon View.
by the Pine Tree condos over there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Where's Campfield? That's no great shakes.
No. Nope. I mean, Campfield and Knapp's Park, she picked good areas. Those are good comp areas. I wouldn't use Longview, but
167, those are bigger.
mhm.
Extra half bath, larger.
So I'm not so opposed to this. I mean, based on the width of it and how tight it is, and the fact the other ones are bigger with the extra bath and stuff, I much of a problem.
Are we ready to vote?
Hmm?
Are we ready to vote?
Yeah.
I ain't about anybody else.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, Judy, go ahead.
Oh, I already called the motion. All I gotta do is vote.
Okay, all those in favor of granting the appeals request, raise your hand.
Oh, wait.
Okay, unanimous.
Unanimous. Okay, the motion carries. Appeal is granted as requested unanimously. Next.
Oh, boy, did I feel bad for this guy. Okay, yeah. Appeal number 110. Oh,
Biasing the jury,
what's that?
right, Katie?
Wait a minute, I didn't hear that. I didn't get that. Okay.
Said you're buttering us up before
Yeah.
you give us the details.
Oh, God, really? Oh, I don't do that.
No.
All right, where is he? I know I can't find him in the appeal here.
Iris and
But
Blake
everything is
process.
out of order. Why is it out of order? For me, it is anyway.
Stonegate.
Order.
Where's Stonegate? Remind me.
All right, so,
Gatestone, it says.
Gatestone is
Oh,
way
Gatestone.
out off of.
Gatestone.
Up by,
it's, um,
by the reservoir.
Yeah, it's off Division Avenue.
so,
Oh,
all
way up.
right, so I can't, for some reason, I can't link to the appeal online, but I'm gonna go by what my notes have, and I like to have all that stuff in front of me. Is, appeal number 110, Sue and Martin Yanone. Martin came in and we spoke about his property. The town's value at $1,004,200. His opinion, a fair market value was $800,000. And I moved to grant the appeal to $800,000. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. So this guy, a couple of things. There's a problem on, I guess some problem on his field card, but one of the biggest things here is that he's looking at utility. He's looking at utility, electric power lines. And if you look on the, if you look on the file, you're going to see
Yeah,
that he
page
actually
4.
pulled together a list of all properties along the power lines.
Amazing.
And he, was that impressive? Was that really
Yes.
impressive?
I'm impressed.
Yes.
So he did that and he supplied photos. So you can actually see how much it was. But one of the other things that he said to me
Let's see the
was
picture.
that he's got a conservation easement and it wasn't noted on the field card. So I said, really? So I said, I said, go down to town clerks and go get the information and bring it back up to me before I leave, or make sure you bring it into the tax assessor, which is what he did. But there was, he's got a conservation easement, he's got a ton of wetlands, and he's got all of the UI power power towers there. The UI cleared all of the trees that were hiding it. The pictures in his driveway, the transmissions are like really visible. And he's not getting $1 million, or he wasn't going to get $1.1 million for that house at 2020. No way.
So I see on the
over
land
$1 million.
value, he's got 95% for 1 acre. And it says power lines, and then the condition drops to 45. That's the lowest we've ever seen.
Yeah, we're not even looking at the conservation easement. So I know it's in that file because I told him to get it. When I looked at it earlier, I saw it there.
I have a feeling, remember, we were told that sometimes the notes aren't always reflective of what it really, my
yeah,
gut is gut. I'm not saying it's right, but my gut says that the 95% condition is for the easement and the 45% is for the power lines.
Actually, though, there's an issue here. Remember in Greenfield Hill, anything over 2 acres, whatever property is left beyond 2 acres gets valued at like half. So he's got almost a 1/4 acre of property that's valued at, what's he got there?
9,000.
Yeah. So where do I see that?
That's not much.
Yeah,
That's-
but except the whole property is looking at those
Right.
power lines, not just a little
Right.
less than a 1/4 of an acre. It's the whole property.
Right. Yep. That's what's wrong about that.
So that's 45.
I'm just curious where the picture is. What number is that? That shows this picture of the power lines.
That's inside, and I can't, for some reason, I'm not seeing on this file.
Oh,
I got 107, 108, 19, 112, 111, 69, 113, 114, and I don't know why I'm not seeing it.
yeah. No, I was just curious if you had a photo of it.
There are photos in the file.
Well, then he's got a conservation easement, which you're right. I mean, we just granted a 70% reduction on the whole lot because of a conservation easement. So do we know how much that represents? I mean, we have multiple reasons to discount this.
Well, you can take a look at a map, and that is also there. You see the map where it shows the conservation easement, right?
Yeah.
And the pond. Okay, so I don't think that was taken into account. I don't see that it was.
That roughly says to me, I mean, looks like 40%. You got the pond, then you're gonna have setbacks. And then the easement. What do you guys think the easement is? That weird dotted line that makes like a gooseneck sort of, oh, it's hard for me to see it.
There it is. It tells you on there. Limit of conservation easement.
Let me turn it. Okay.
Yeah, but do we have a amount?
No.
No, that'd be too easy.
The only way
Oh, I just found it. I just resorted it and found it. Okay.
All right, so basically, again, this is one where, in my opinion, we're not gonna really question the building. Let's see, right? It's all land related.
Yeah.
Because his dwelling is only 378.
Probably doable for him too.
He wants to get down to what?
800.
And he said the town is what? $1 million?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing that. His new 2022 card says 982.
Yeah, I see that
FYI.
also.
Well, maybe there was a change, somehow there was a change somewhere.
You know, the
It's
other thing about these properties right there along that Division Street, I remember a couple of years ago, a resident came, he was across the street, and if I'm not mistaken, these people do not have city water, they have well. And let me look at this. Yep,
That
private
says well. Yep, it says
Private
well on the card.
private well and septic, yeah. And then they also have, this is just an aside, but they have terrible cell service up there too. So, you know, no no city water,
Oh,
no,
well, that should be big reduction.
but no.
Yeah,
city water. So
seriously.
like I remember this guy's, he was saying, listen, I can't, I don't, like, most of the town has city water. I can't even have city water because of where I live. So, you know, there's a lot of condition factors to this property.
Right,
And
if you look at the stuff he submitted from his deed, there's a whole, there's like, I'm looking at the second page, there's a whole page of restrictions.
what page is that?
He's got some, it looks like he's got part of his deed. Condition of approval, permit, oh, I'm sorry, this is condition of approval. Permit approved but not issued. Oh, these are all the conditions. I guess he wanted to get a permit to do something. And he's got 3 pages of conditions in order to do it. So I guess it never did it.
There was a conservation easement, which is what he got. So in there. That's in there.
Well, just for knowledge sake, if I took his land on the field card that's valued at 95 and I brought it down to 0.7, that is according to my calculation, it looks like it's a reduction of $107,000, which would take the 982 down to 882. He's saying to go down to what? 800?
800.
882, Carol?
Yeah, I mean that's only on one of the. I took his. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I took the 2 acres. I took his 2 acres that are valued and brought it down to 0.7. So that drops it by 107,000. I don't know. I mean, I'm just trying to think how much farther we discount it because of power lines.
I know what power lines.
Well,
He's got,
but remember, there's also the conservation easement as well.
I mean,
Well, that's why I was using the 0.7.
yeah,
Well,
I was using
and it's not just the power lines. There's a power tower there, right at the
Yeah.
corner
Yeah.
of the property.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is the 0.7 is what we've used based on precedent with Helene and I with a conservation easement. So we can start at 0.7 and now we can go lower because we've got, like you said, the tower and the power lines. So maybe it's a 0.6.
Try 0.6.
Yeah. All right.
What does that come out to?
Let me do the math on that because he doesn't want us to give him points.
We have to do both.
The number. All right. So hold on. 43 divided by 0.95 is 425. All right. That's where we started times 0.6. So that would bring it to 255. And 255 minus 403, 800 minus 255. All right, that brings it down by 104, call it 149. So 982 minus 149 is 833.
833?
Yeah, why don't we argue that?
843. Right?
Okay, make an amendment.
Isn't it 843?
I did 982 minus 149.
I thought it was 992. Was it originally 990?
No, 982 200.
Oh, 982. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I think
Make an amendment, Carol?
Yeah. All right. I make a motion to grant this in part to 833,000 even.
I'll second that.
And then Kathy, maybe if you would like to put in the notes, if we grant it, it would be approximately a 60% reduction on the 2 acres.
Okay.
That's more for his knowledge than the assessors. Or maybe you don't do it. I don't know, Paulette, you decide.
Well,
But-
I think it's
Telling him we're changing that to 0.6.
I think it's a 40% reduction down to 0.6. Am I right?
Well, from point,
No, it was a 0.95, wasn't
from
it?
0.95 to 0.6 on 2 of his acres. That's what I did.
Okay.
But the number that you came up with isn't exactly the math. You rounded things.
I did because it's not, it's not as 800. So I feel like 833 can be, I think we feel good about that. I mean, unless you want to go all the way down.
No, can he do 833 or is he going to come back and say 840?
I'm not
No,
sure.
no, we will give him a number, 833.
If we do that, but then he can't, it's not him, it's the system. 833 may not work. Then he's going to go to the next whole number, which is probably 840.
Are you saying 833,000?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll work. I think it's like when it's tens and ones digits.
Okay.
Then it has
Alright.
to.
Yeah, no, the 833 is fine. If it was 833.1, it would have to go, well, 833 and $45, it
Yeah.
would be
Okay.
831. Right.
All right. That's fine then. Okay. All in favor of granting the appeal in part to a value of 833,000, please raise your hand.
Okay, that's everybody.
Okay. Motion passes, appeals granted unanimously. Next.
Okay, appeal number 76.
76. I don't have, oh, yes, I do. Okay. Appeal number 76. Okay.
Okay, this gentleman came before us on a couple of other properties. This is appeal number 76. I make a motion to approve the appellant's opinion of fair market value to 300,000. The town's value is 351.3. Property is located at 86 Adelaide Street. Wait a second.
Second.
Okay. All right, guys. He didn't bring any comps. All he did was say there's location, there's heavy traffic, there's high crime, it's an older home, there's not much usable land. There's two small one-bedroom apartments. Only half of the place has got central air. The garage is dilapidated, and it needs new roof and windows. Now, I should mention, and I believe it's appeal number 77. I really wanted to hear them both at the same time, but for some reason we couldn't do that. Can anybody look to see what we granted on 77? Because that's also, is it 77? No, it's 75. Because that's also his property, and it's also, he was also referencing both of them.
Okay.
The unfortunate problem here is that we don't have a lot of comps on,
He didn't give us any comps. Doesn't mean that there aren't any. It looks like well over 3/4 of his value is in the land, not the house. The house is valued at $81,000. And it looks like it's an outbuilding for 18 grand. What's that?
That's probably the dilapidated garage, which it can't be worth 18,000 if it's dilapidated.
Okay.
Kathy, is there some way for you to go back to that appeal or can you not figure it out unless you knew the date?
It's easier for me if I have the date.
Okay.
But I'll start looking. 75, you're saying? Appeal 75?
Yeah. 75.
Yeah. And I don't believe he brought us anything there, but if you look at this house, he says it needs a new roof and new windows. This one looks okay. Right, are you looking at that, Carol?
Okay, I
Well,
found
I'm looking
appeal
at
number
the
75.
I'm looking at the field card. The picture on the field card looks pretty damn nice. That can't even be his house.
Yeah.
I can't find
Yeah.
this.
I don't think we did. I don't think we granted 75 because I think for the same reason.
Right, motion failed unanimously. He wanted to reduce to 310.
Okay.
Right. So he did bring something else before us, and he brought comparables, and that we granted for him. But this, I don't have any backup information for it.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay.
I'm just looking the field card. This looks like a newer home. I don't get it. I don't know how it needs a new
You
roof.
know
and
what?
new window.
Is this actually 84 Adelaide? Because I'm not on vision appraisal. There is no 86.
Yeah,
Adelaide.
it's 84.
All right. So doesn't he have on here as 86?
Yeah, because it goes 84, 86.
Oh, okay.
Oh, right. Because
Paulette, you know, this was
Wait,
Diane.
guys,
house.
look at the garage in the back of that photo. That does not look dilapidated. I think he's getting his properties mixed up. I honestly.
What were you gonna say,
guy
Helene?
this guy owns
This-
a lot of properties in town.
This was Diane Rayner's house. Remember, Diane?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
This was her house. Yeah, and no, that's not a dilapidated garage.
No, I think that he,
Very
I don't mean he intentionally mixed them up. I think he was describing to you, Katie, one of his other properties when he.
Well, he may have, but these are the notes that I have. Old 1907. The other property was not built in 1907. So no. But at any rate, I don't have any comparables to go along with it. That's
Yeah.
all.
It's
Guys
most
wanna
of the
vote?
land. I mean, the house looks fine by this picture.
Any more discussion?
Why did they say
Nope.
it's in very poor condition? I can't. I mean, it wasn't in poor condition when he bought it in 2002. Did he? No, he bought it in 2008. Yeah. Has he beaten it up that much? I mean, I know it was in good condition when he bought it.
I don't really have enough data and nothing looks dilapidated on these pictures.
All right, so then I say we vote.
Okay. Judy? Anything else?
No, I don't have any. Well, we're going to vote on this, and then I have one more to go.
We're voting on this one. All in favor of granting the appeal as requested, please raise your hand. All opposed?
Unanimous.
Motion fails. Appeals denied unanimously. Go ahead, Judy.
Okay. Well, do you guys remember the new construction on Borowski?
Yes.
Okay. So we had already voted on number 37. No, excuse me, 97. Right? And Kathy, do you want to just double check that?
Okay. 97.
What we were doing as the property.
What
That
appeal are
was
you doing?
18 Borowski Drive. That was the vacant land.
What appeal?
Oh,
Yeah, remember that? So the guy bought the property
yep.
on 6 Borowski. He subdivided it. We voted on the vacant land portion. And then we kind of got stuck in a very long discussion about the single family home that he was building.
Yeah. That was Papa Lucas, right?
Right.
Okay.
So it was a property that was split.
Correct. So that was the one that was under construction,
Mhm.
and the town had valued it at five. Oh, let me make the motion on this.
Okay.
And Kathy, did you see number 97 that we approved that?
97 you granted, yes.
Okay, all right. So I just wanted to have that as a background. And we granted that at 150. Isn't that correct? The vacant land?
I don't have that on the page that I'm looking at.
All right, okay. So we're at 98, so let me make the motion for 98, okay? Let me just get in front of it.
Grant second.
Make a motion for, to grant appeal number 98. This is for the property or at 6 Borowski Road. And the town's opinion of value is 502,600, town's value, and the appellant's opinion of fair market value was 182,245. So this house was under construction at that time. So here's what happened when he, this is the one on the corner.
Mhm.
And I don't even know whether I don't even know how, what we're doing as far as voting on it. Because when at the time of October 20, the house was a shell. The property that he bought, when he bought it, hold on. Where is it? Have all my notes, and of course, now I don't see everything all handy. Right. We give a nice synopsis here. So he purchased 6 Borowski on April 30th for 182,245. That's the number that he's asking for. Then he split it. Now we're already charging him, or already assessed him 150 on the other lot. But the appraisal from the purchase determined the property value to be about 190. Do you guys see this online? I
Yeah.
think he's got that on his second sheet. Okay, so rather than me read the whole thing, you can take a look at it unless you want me to read it into the record. But the house is all fully vetted as of October 1. Thing is that he just sold this house a couple weeks ago.
For what?
Just does it matter? Because it's not 2020.
Well,
He just got to sell, so he no longer owns this property. So is this appeal actually in order for us to do it?
no, he's
No.
not the property owner.
When he made the appeal, he owned the property. Is that correct?
Right.
I think
Oh.
the appeal.
Paulette, isn't this one of these where we're like arguing that, the assessor wants us to evaluate it as a finished home that would have sold back in that time period now, and we're arguing that that's not the way we've asked the appellants to present their data.
Right. It closed March 14th for 600.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But it wasn't worth 600 in 2020 or in 2021.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly. Because it was a
Ugh.
shell of a home at that point.
So if I understand this correctly, Paulette, no matter what we decide, let's say we grant it. Now another year comes by and now for sure the CO is there. I mean, his number is going to change, the new owners, right? In a year from now anyway?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he
Well-
just got a CO.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's see. It wasn't on the grand list. I don't know. Yes. Let's say it changes. Okay. Let's say it changes. Yeah.
All right. So he's overpaying for a year and he's going to get a break for a year and then it's going to get changed again because he has the CO. Is that the short of it?
He should get a rebate.
Yeah. It's unfortunately they don't rebate. They certainly know how to take it.
Yeah, I know.
I look at it like he had it on the market, obviously. What did he have it on the market for? Do we know?
$599,999.
And that was when, in 2021?
Yeah, October 28th, 21.
Yeah, we're a whole year out.
Yeah. And he didn't get the CO till recently on this one, right? Or am I mistaken?
It just
Yeah.
closed, right? It just closed in March, like earlier this month.
Yeah, they get the CO a week before it closes. So
Yeah.
Right, because they don't want to pay taxes on it.
Right.
When did it go on the market? The listing date?
October 28th, 2021.
yeah, for $599.
Okay. So here's the problem. And that was a new build, or wasn't it, or was that a redo?
It was
No, that's a new build.
Okay. So technically, according to Ross, on a new build, you change
Oh,
the
no,
value.
excuse me, like new renovation.
Okay.
Technically, 1900
Oh.
farmhouse. Oh, here's something really interesting. So this is technically a new build on a 1900 farmhouse. And it says torn down or rebuilt. The property year built on the listing, it says 1900.
Yeah, I wasn't keen on that explanation we got, but
Basically, it's
No,
subjective.
me neither.
yeah, subjective. Yep, I think they do what they want, when.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
it was a
don't really
flip.
know.
I mean, look, I know Lucas. He did my flip. He keeps what he can. It's not a new build.
All right, so it's not a build, and that's worse for us, because I wish it was a new build, because on a new build, then nothing changes. They pay only the value of the land until they get the CO or until somebody moves in. But when it's a redo, they base the value on the percentage that they consider done. Well, supposedly they have a table that they consider done on a certain date. So I think in this one, you got to go back to the reval period into 2020, because if it wasn't done, then he should have only been assessed based on what the percentage was. But now, how do we know what that percentage is? We don't have no idea what it looked like then.
I guarantee barely anything was done on it.
Well, he bought it in April, right? He bought it April 30th. That's when he closed on it. How much did he possibly do in 6 months when he's trying to subdivide the property at 2?
That's
So,
true. That's a very good
He
point.
said that all it was a show.
Okay, so
It
what?
was fully gutted, no kitchens, no bathrooms. It could not be valued above the original purchase price. How could that be?
Okay, so what was the original purchase price? I'm just
180, 182, 245.
Wait, but what is it now?
well now it's
Now it closed at 600, but this is a different time. We're not looking at that.
We're looking at it now. If it, as it stands now, was for sale in 2020, not
And
what it
that's
was in
Ross
2020.
says. That's
No.
how I understood it.
That's what we have to do. So if it's a full house right now,
We
we have to
didn't say
say,
it was now.
but it is now. That's
No.
what we're dealing
But that's
with.
not what the assessors do for appeals, and that's not what we told the public to do. So that's where I have the problem.
I agree there's like an issue with the explanation, but the what we're supposed to do is take how your property looks right now and say, if this were 2020, what would it sell for? Or
okay.
in 2020's market, how would your house right now sell?
Yeah, but Katie, you're not talking 2022 anyway. Even if you were going with that argument, you would only go with the 2021 as per what Ross said, not 2022, which is what you're saying.
Let's go to
Even
2020.
if you were going with that argument.
Well, we could racket it down by another 20% or so. I don't know, because that's probably what it was, right? A year ago? Less
Yeah.
than, I don't know.
Kathleen would remind us that properties are up 20%, so I guess we could do that.
I mean, that would bring it down to 500. He wants it to be 182?
It can't be 182.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. I mean, this is the new owner of a lovely flipped home. Can't be 182. So the question is, how much do we want to bring it down to? How much do we argue how much, that's Stratfield, right?
Did we
No,
provide,
No, that's
did we
not.
provide any comps?
that would be Tungus Hill.
Oh, Tungus Hill. So Tungus Hill, I don't know. Did Tungus Hill go up equally to the town? If we say the town was 15% on 15% year on year, 12%. I mean, we're somewhere in the fives, guys. Low fives.
I don't agree with that at all. No. No, so if he bought it, even if you said it's 2021, where are we going on value here? Are we going on October 1, 2021? Is that where we're going on value?
I want to look at, here's what I want, if everybody's in agreement to try this. I want to look at what he paid for it in 2020. Now I know it wasn't fixed up then, but what did he pay in 2020?
182, 245.
Okay. All right, 2020. Then he starts work on it at some point. So for the grand list of 2021, he should have had, by then, because that would have been October, and he sells it it went on the market in October. So by October, most of that house was probably done, although there was no CO. So I guess I'd say that if we look at, in 2021, what was it worth done? I don't know. I mean, he sold it for 6.
Well, that's why I reduced it by 80. I
20%.
took 85% of that, but knocked it down by 15%. And that's where I came up with 510. What does he ask? What is it appraised at?
502, 600.
Oh,
That's
Yeah.
more, yeah.
I also don't see any evidence. Like he didn't provide any evidence here. I know we're going back and forth with the instructions, but it's not. I don't know.
Honestly, if the new people want to come back next year and
Yeah.
take this, I don't think he's given a strong case, honestly.
I
To
have,
go-
the
go
only
below
thing is that I
budget.
want to say is that I have a concern that if we do some kind of adjustment here, then what does that do to what the current CO and the current assessment? I don't want to override anything. It's your thought, so.
Try that again, Suzanne.
Saying if we do something here,
Then
how does that affect
back.
them? If we do some portion, how does it affect the new owner and
What-
once the CO is issued moving
we
forward?
don't even know because we're not looking at the field card. He didn't provide us with the field card.
Well, I think if we make an adjustment now, then the new owner can't do anything if
That's-
they,
Correct.
Yeah, they can
Right.
back until,
Right.
yeah,
I guess that's my concern too.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
why don't we just, okay, I think we all know what to do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So all those in
Ready to
favor,
vote?
Taking a vote. Yep.
all those opposed?
Okay, I see everybody except Paulette.
Hand is up for opposed. I
Okay,
back
so
on the video.
everybody is opposed.
Okay, so the motion fails. Okay. Judy, do you have one more, right?
You know, do you show me for 112 still?
No, I show you for, oh, wait a minute now. We did 76, right?
Yeah.
110 we did. So I don't see you for 112. Was that something we needed to clarify?
No, I just, I have a note, this is a gal that didn't even open her business. And I'm pretty sure that we voted on it and all I was gonna do was call her to tell her to please submit her assets for her business, right? Just to claim it. And I called her and she never got back to me. So, you know what, I'm gonna email her again tomorrow, but that would be it. And that's all I have.
Okay, so I think we're done. Now, the only thing that can change is that the assessor might come back and say he has a question about something we did tonight in the minutes. But I can probably do that with him. It's just a matter of clarifying something and not voting on anything. So actually, I'm sorry that I left my video because now I can't see anybody. Actually, I think we're done now. We've finished. So congratulations to everybody.
Good job, guys.
Now,
Wow.
don't forget, we have to do motor vehicles in September. I'll look at the first meeting that we had because Katie and Judy weren't there for that one. I'll look and see what that date was. I don't remember the date in September unless Kathy knows it off the top of her head.
No, I don't. But I have a couple that were postponed on the 14th, and I'm not sure if you did them.
All right, go ahead.
Like number 3, do you know if 3 was done?
Oh, that's mine. Oh gosh, that's that woman on North Benson, Cindy,
Right.
with the
Slope.
oh we totally did that. I brought it up a second day.
We
Yeah, then
did.
we have Russ here.
Yeah,
Yep.
and as I don't have my notes in front of me, but as I recall, we waited to get information back from the assessor because one of the ladies went out to review it, and I wasn't happy with the reduction, and so we voted on
Okay,
granting it.
okay, what about 20?
20. Who's that?
Mm, so-
What is that?
Yeah, that's not mine.
Oh, that's mine, 58 Meadow Court. We granted those.
Oh,
Yeah.
that was
There were
Yeah.
two, they were side by side.
right.
We granted, let me just pull it up.
Okay, I should have printed out the past minutes. I'm just going over some notes, but I didn't want you to get dismissed and then have to come back
Yeah,
to me.
thank you.
Yeah, that was,
Okay, if you said it was done, it's done, it's fine. How about 26?
Sounds like mine.
X.
Yeah, 26. That's
Wetlands on property?
that's on Roland. Oh gosh, that's Alice's. We
That was
granted
Alice's, yeah.
That
We
was done.
granted that.
Print it out.
600.
Right, I have 600. You wanted a 0.9 adjustment, but I have a note. Carol motion to postpone, so I guess
No,
you
we got
can
that. We
revisit
did
it.
get that straightened out. Yep.
Okay,
we
how
granted it.
about 50? There's just two more, 50 and 12.
Still
Let me look
seeing,
and see who those are.
never received, oh, that's personal property. Amy Reese, who was that?
Oh yeah, we talked about Amy Reese.
That's
I think we
me.
did her. So
That
we
was
did
the-
that. Oh yeah, that's the one we did tonight. When instead of
We
1,000
clarified it for him tonight.
Okay,
right, so
tonight,
we're good with
okay,
that.
and
And then what was
12.
the last one? 12.
12, yeah.
Ricosi. Oh, that's High
This-
Meadow.
Oh, wrong neighborhood. I think you cleared that one up too.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay,
Okay. So that's
Oh
it.
my
So
gosh, look at that one. Property location and then property description, house with nice yard.
how nice. Lovely.
Oh gosh.
Just let me tell you a couple of things that I talked to Russ about today. Doesn't matter for now, but just keep it in mind. The site index. I talked to him in length about the site index between, like for example, Winton Park and then Barlow Place. And the way he described it, I would think that Winton Park would have been the special, would have been 6, up to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 have really no value. They don't change anything. Most of the town is 5. When you get to 6, that's when you'll see an increase based on that. And they base it on, well, it's like it's a place in a neighborhood. So that's the university area. And in that particular area, university area, it's near Round Hill. And not most of I wouldn't call that the most expensive part of Round Hill. It's not awful, but if the houses on that street are selling significantly higher than the neighborhood, then they raise it up to 6. So one could argue, which I tried to do with him, that but Winton Park is right across the street. So those houses are not selling for more than Winton Park. So I think that, I think that if people are interested, the people that are interested in getting together separately and, going over some of this stuff that creates a problem, and then we can bring it to him and see if he's willing to do anything about it. And if not, we can always go to Brenda. But, there's too
I
many
think we
errors.
should do it sooner rather than later
Oh,
while
sooner
it's
than-
still
yeah, it has to
fresh
be
in our
soon.
in our minds.
Yeah, it has to be fairly soon. Talk about the neighborhoods and the site index. What he did say was that we spend too much time, and he's absolutely right. We spend too much time arguing on little parts of that field card that really don't matter to us. What we need to care about is the total value. And he's right about that. But when you do find errors like that, I think we need to correct them so that it doesn't happen again. And it's not fair to the homeowners that don't come when we know there's definitely an issue that needs to be corrected.
You know what, too, Paulette, I think it would be helpful, and we could assist with this, is take a field card and break down every single section of that field card and and explain what it means, because, you know, this way they don't have to go through this with every single new board member that comes on this board.
That's true. Yep.
You know,
That's
I
true.
that it
Yeah.
should,
And
We
like
can
a
do that.
little arrow pointing to everything with a legend, and then you
Yeah,
just A, B,
exactly.
C.
Right. And then you just know. Yep.
should
and
have a
yeah,
whole little booklet.
actually, the homeowner should have it too. Why do we hand
Yep.
them a field card and then go, okay, bye-bye? And they
Yeah.
have no idea what the hell they're
They
looking
have
at.
no idea what it means. Yep. We should. That should go out to everybody. All right. Well, we can, we can talk about that. So anybody who's interested in that, I'll send out an email in a couple of days and see who's interested. I don't know if everybody is, but we'd certainly welcome anybody, whether you're a realtor or not. Katie.
Yeah, I mean, let's give ourselves like 2
Katie.
weeks and then,
Yeah,
right?
give
A
ourselves
bit of
2
a
weeks to
break,
recoup.
and then
Yep.
yeah.
Hey, you
Well,
hear me?
I heard you.
Okay.
Count me out. No, I'm
All
kidding.
right. Jeez Louise. Well, then I'm all done, except I just want to thank everybody for their work and for their opinions and for working together. And I want to give a special thanks, though, to Katie and Judy, who were willing to volunteer to help us with this, because we wouldn't have gotten it done without them. We're close to the cutoff of the 31st. And without them, we wouldn't have gotten those hearings done and we wouldn't be able to start deliberation. So I really, really appreciate your willingness to come back and help us.
And your insight.
Well,
And your insight, yeah, and your,
And-
yep, your
And
insight
your
and your,
professional insight.
and I want
your
to thank
senses of
Paulette
humor.
for being a fearless leader.
Oh,
Oh my
seriously.
gosh. Thank you.
Colleen and I have been on this before together, so I can, my experience, I imagine, mirrors her. I've never had a board like this where it was like
Oh, yeah.
constant. I've never seen anything like it. So
No,
anyway,
me neither.
good job,
Yeah, and
Paula.
that's why. Thank you, and that's why I was
Missed-
hoping you would do
missed
this.
some of the good nights, Katie.
I know.
You missed some of the best ones.
I heard,
Katie,
I
right,
heard
you
about
were
one of
here
them.
last year and you would be floored.
I heard
Yeah,
a little
you
bit
would've-
about last year.
Yeah, it was.
Oh,
it
we
was
were
bad.
so
It was
lucky.
worse
We
than
had a
this
much
was.
different
Oh
experience.
yeah, we had a really great board. I mean, I enjoyed every day I went.
Yeah.
That's why I wanted to do it again. I really loved it. It was really, really good. So, well, thank you again, and thank you for for working with me. I've never done the chair before, and I know that I sometimes don't have the patience that other people would hope I had.
You didn't.
But I just don't have it. So, and then now remember that when we meet again, when we meet in when in September, I think, don't we, or November, September, we do the motor vehicles, and then we meet again in November, December for that first meeting. We will be then picking new officers, because every year, every term, you get a new officer. We can keep the same ones, but we revote. So we can keep in mind, if somebody else is willing to take the chair, I have no problem with that.
No.
I don't have to be in charge. We can discuss that, at the time, but I figured, yeah. And then, of course, we are the majority, so I guess it will be me again, but we'll see. Maybe we'll take a break. So, all righty. Well, good night,
So-
everyone. Oh, go ahead.
Paulette, if you wouldn't mind just sending an email on what that date was to all of us.
Yes, I will. I'm going to
And
look
then
it up because I don't
We'll
remember.
put it
Just so
on the
you'll have
calendar, and then I'll throw it to the town clerk to have on
it.
the.
Okay. Oh, and Carol, can you cancel the rest of the meetings on the town calendar?
Yes, well, I just
the rest of the
I
month.
just made a note that I'm gonna cancel tomorrow's right now.
And I don't know if they're on till, just let Betsy know if they're on till the 31st, just cancel all of them.
No, I don't think so, but I'll let her know.
Just
Yep.
make sure. Okay. All right. Well,
Right.
good night, everyone. Thank you again. I've loved working with all of
A
you.
call to adjourn, please.
I am. I
Okay.
make a motion that we adjourn the meeting. All in favor? I'm sure it's unanimous, even though I can't see it. All right.
Good
guys,
night, you
take care.
guys.
Talk to
Good
somebody
night,
soon. Hey,
everybody.
Stan, I'll talk to you. Okay.
Okay.
Judy,
Bye.
talk to you. Yep. Bye-bye.